sense of feeling free and having the right to speak your mind out. That is my country to me. It is the air I breathe. I'm so proud to be born here, and the love and beauty that surround us, we share it day by day. That is my country to me. I will not look down. I will always keep my head up high and share with pride and industry. And people will always respect what Barbados means to me. My country to me is the children's laughter and genuinely loving each other. That is my country to me. It is the air I breathe, and I'm proud to be born here, and the love and beauty that surround us, we share it day by day. That is my country today. I will not look down. I will always keep my head up high and share with pride and industry. And people will always respect what Barbados means to me. That is my country to me, yeah. That is Barbados to me. My country to me.
Well, we want to welcome you to this another the Marcia Week show, coming to you from the beautiful island of Barbados. I trust you're hearing me well. In a moment, we'll be going to our national anthem, and good evening to all of you. I seem to be having still a little bit of uh, uh, issues in terms of my backdrop, and if it consists too much, I will certainly take it off and just go back to my green screen. All right, but good to have all of you here this evening. Good evening to the loyal opposition. Good evening to all of you joining us from all around the world, wherever you are located. It's my distinct privilege and honor to be with you this evening. And so we just want to be able to share a great evening together. Thank you so much for confirming that, Marcia. And like I said, if it keeps buffering as much as I observe it here, I don't know if it's doing it on your end. We'll certainly go back to our green screen. I just want something a little nicer for you to look at, and we'll just see how it goes. All right. We'll just work with it. If I have to go back, I'll go back. But right now, we are moving toward our 200. Marcy's going to keep me in tabs with that. And I want to say good evening to every single one of you. Lucinda, Judy, Dotton, Jill, Steroni Hall, my goodness, Monica Ince. You all have been so faithful to support the show, and we appreciate it so very, very much. Flojo Maloney, great to have you with us again tonight. Laurie Bob, good night to you as well. In the loyal opposition, Shannon, I got to get this right. Shannon Fico. Uh, uh, good evening to you. Okay, Shannon, I didn't know she could do that. I had no idea that Marcia could bully anybody. Well, happy Friday to you too, Shirley. And Heath, let me get this right. Heathcliff, good evening to you. And of course, Marcia Wayne, Austin, good evening to you as well. Good to have you on the show with us, Cedric Strawn. Pleasure to have you with us tonight as well, Barbara Wilkinson, Wayne Austin. Thank you, Barbara. It's nice. I do agree, but sometimes it causes me to buffer a bit. And if it continues to do that, well, then I will just shift back to the green one and I'll have to work on something to take the place of that. Person of interest. Good evening to you, person of interest. Good night to you too. Great to have you with us tonight. ADG, yes, good to have you back with us this evening. ADG and Cami, Marcia, 200 and climbing. Thank you, my dear. And Dave is going to go right into that national anthem. I do have quite a bit to try to share with you. I'll try to prioritize it and you know, get through what I can before we go into our first segment this evening. So Dave, go right ahead, please, with our national anthem. Amen, amen, amen. Wow, I tell you, wow, wow. Our national pledge, ladies and gentlemen, share together with me this evening. I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living, to do credit to my nation wherever I go. That is my allegiance I make to my country, my flag. I do not make it to a political party. I do not make it to any human individual. I make it to my country and to my flag. Such a joy to have all of you joining us this evening, and I thank you for taking the time to be with the Marcia Week show today. I was not able to be with you on Monday, regrettably. I was attending the funeral service of a very, very close friend of ours who was murdered in Trinidad a couple of weeks ago. His name was Mr. Vernon Guichard, and you may or may not have seen it in the news, but he was murdered in his home, very brutally. And we went down, I myself and my daughter went down to the funeral and to assist them in whatever ways that we can. And that is why I wasn't able to be with you on Monday. And so I want to thank Marcia for taking the role for me as I have had to do for her, like tonight and some other nights. I really want to thank her for doing a yeoman job on Monday. I did get a chance to view it, and I got a chance as well to view the Wednesday night show. And I was really pleasantly surprised. I think the gentleman's name was Ernesto, to see her guest on Wednesday, who I had just not long before, I think the day before, watched a couple of articles, a couple of videos on YouTube of his, dealing with several subjects that I have mentioned here before. And I was happy to hear it coming from someone else. You know, sometimes people talk about conspiracy theories and make you sometimes feel and make the people feel that that we are, you know, talking through the top of our heads. But we're not. I'm glad to say that we are not. And so this evening, let me start by having a conversation with you. I understand I'm still sticking a bit, so let me see if I can just pop out here and come back in. Dave, maybe you can prep that video for me, please, with that World Economic extract. If you could prep that for me, and I'll just slip out and come right back in. I'll just take off this backdrop. I'm not sure I know how to do it. Let me see if I can do it without actually leaving. Without actually leaving the setting. I think I managed it. Did I get it done? Did I get it done? Can somebody tell me if I got it done? I'm kind of getting a little more used to all of this technology. I tell you, I'm soon going to be almost as good as Dave. All right. I doubt that will happen for me for a long, long, long time, to be honest with you. But I do want to touch on a few things this evening. And let me go straight away to this aspect that I engaged, or I saw, with regards to the central bank launching its instant payment system by 2026. And I saw the article by Shanna Moore, where the central bank indicated it was overhauling Barbados's payment system in a move that promises faster, cheaper, and more secure transactions for everyday consumers and businesses. The governor of the central bank, Dr. Kevin Grinish, said the new system will create a more inclusive financial ecosystem, eliminating barriers between banks, credit unions, and other financial institutions to allow seamless real-time transfers. He continued to make the point that this is perhaps one of the most revolutionizing things that we've done since establishing the central bank. And under the current system, transferring money between different banks or credit unions can take hours or even days, with some institutions charging fees for instant transfers. Mr. Greenwich went on to say we have what we think is a lack of interoperability. In layman's terms, the systems don't speak to each other very well. There's a lot of time and cost in transactions and transfers. And he went on to share quite a few things. No more waiting for payments to clear. Transfer between accounts or different institutions will happen instantly. That happens really with me already in my banks. Lower transaction costs. I really don't pay anything. The system is expected to reduce fees associated with digital payments. Same thing happens really when you go to the ATM or you go to the teller. You now have to pay if you go to the teller. If you go to the ATM, you have no payment there. More payment options. Consumers will be able to send and receive money directly from mobile devices, even without cash or cards. Now, all of this is great. All of this is good stuff. All of this sounds really nice. All of it sounds operational. All of it sounds very modern. All of its songs very advanced and technologically in touch with what is happening in the world. Having said that, we also need to pay attention to what some of the international agencies, particularly the World Economic Forum, have to say concerning the concerns and dangers as it relates to the matter of these movements of monies. Now, we understand that the Caribbean leaders are agreeing to chart a unified digital transformation agenda because the ministers have expressed their support for a bold vision to accelerate national digital transitions, calling for enhanced collaboration, diversified infrastructure, and people-centric innovation. As I read the article, a few things caught my attention. One of the paragraphs says, pointing to initiatives in tech tourism, smart city programs, keep that in mind, smart city programs and innovative hubs. Cooper, who was the person speaking at the time, I believe this would have been the Deputy Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Chester Cooper, and Minister of Tourism of the Bahamas. He's pointed to the initiatives in tech tourism, smart city programs, and innovative hubs. Again, sounding very good, sounding very advanced. But when we start to talk about 15-minute cities where you will not be able to use your electronic digital devices in terms of your cards outside of a certain limit, people are talking to us about conspiracy theories. The closing paragraph in this report says this: throughout the discussions, ministers agreed that a single CARICOM ICT space with harmonized spectrum policies, cross-border digital identity, and robust cybersecurity will be crucial for building a truly gigabyte-enabled Caribbean. Their collective call to action resonated across Canto's halls. The region's digital future hinges on shared vision, strategic investment, and on unwavering commitment to inclusion. Now, having made that point, I want you to understand that there are some very major concerns that have been expressed with regards to these matters. It sounds good, it sounds wonderful, and it really seems to want to take us into the future. But I want to do a couple of things. I want you to listen. If you could enlarge in that just a little bit, Dave, bring it up bigger to the screen. I want you to listen to some comments made at the, if you can just bring it up some more, I'll tell you when to stop. That looks good. Some comments made at the World Government Summit, the World Government Summit. Now, when we start to talk about a new world order and a one world government, people again talk to us about conspiracy theories and misinformation. There it is right in front of your eyes. And I'm going to ask Dave to play this extract for you to hear how they are thinking with regards to the aspect of digital currency, digital money, and the whole aspect of the one world government in engaging our entire global aspects. Okay, so Dave, please go right ahead and hear it for us, please.
Order is always the financial system. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. What underpins a world order is always the financial system. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting.
You can pause it. Okay, yeah, okay, well, go ahead. If you want to do it a second time, that's fine. go right ahead, because I don't want the people to miss any of this. Okay, folks. So let's hear it again, Dave. I want them to, because I wanted to catch a couple of statements that she made. So, Dave, sorry, I didn't catch that comment early enough. So please, let's go ahead and run it again.
And the new one, the new accounting is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well. What underpins...
Thank you. Thank you. What underpins the New World Order? Now, I want you to notice a couple of things that she makes mention of. She says, you will now be able to track every single transaction. It means that from 2026, the government will be, the government, not your bank, the government will be able to track every single transaction you and I make, every single one of them. And then she goes on to make the point concerning the dangers, and she makes the point that the danger now lies between the citizens and the government or state when it relates to the balance of power. Now, there was a submission made some years ago. This is the Digital ID Bill 2023 and the Digital ID Bill 2023 Submission 353 that was made within the context of the World Economic Forum, where it raised again the concerns of the digital ID and digital currency, and it made these comments. It said, the integration of government and private sector heightens privacy concerns, granting unprecedented oversight into citizens' lives in a centralized system. AI and machine learning could intensify privacy invasion risks. You hear that? AI and machine learning could intensify privacy invasion risks. Questions arise about data misuse by verified providers, risk unauthorized access and exploitation, and it also treats to a very deepening concern of government's capability to monitor, track, and affect private citizens' privacy and access to their monies. I am not the person responding or speaking to this, and I will challenge the central bank governor or anybody else to challenge me on this, because this is coming from the World Economic Forum. The concerns were raised there, not by me. The concerns were raised by the World Economic Forum. And now, just quickly, because I did want to deal with this, there were a couple of other areas I wanted to touch on, but I want to focus on this because this has been in the news of recent, and you need to understand what are the risks involved. I don't know how many of you will recall that back in 2022, the BBC carried an article on the 15th of February concerning the then Prime Minister of Canada vowing to freeze anti-mandate protesters' bank accounts, and he did. He did because of the same positioning of the digital currency in Canada at the time, so that people could not go to the supermarket, they could not pay the electric bill, they could not pay their phone bill, water bills, they could not buy baby food, they could buy no provisions for their homes, nothing. They could get no gas because Prime Minister Trudeau locked their accounts down. And not only that, a GoFundMe account was set up to assist the protesters in 2022, and that too he froze. He prohibited its accessibility within the context of Canada. So I am here to caution you this evening. It all sounds hunky-dory. It all sounds great. It all sounds good. It all sounds advancing and wonderful. That is wonderful to hear. but I want to see legislation introduced in Parliament that will restrict government's involvement in our privacy matters of finance when we are doing things. I don't know how it will be done. I am not the expert in economics. Maybe Mr. Anthony Wood could answer this, and other of the economists at the UWI can explore it, but there needs to be the protection of citizens so that they can no longer be interfered with by the government. Because I'm telling you now, based on how the world is proceeding, and I don't even have time to get into the World Health Organization's new resolution, new act, new position at this particular point in time, as it relates to what is going to be happening if there's another pandemic. But what can be a reality is that if you do not comply with the government, who will be under the control of the World Health Organization, if you don't get under that, if the government comes under that and has to comply with what the World Health Organization says, then we are going to find ourselves in a position where our government will be able to prevent us from accessing money on our accounts using this digital platform to do so. Now, they'll deny it, but I'm telling you, it was done in Canada. Our Prime Minister was good buddies and pals with Mr. Trudeau, and we know it's happening around the world. It will make its way to our doorsteps in the not too distant future. And I'm simply saying, if the government of Barbados, if the central bank wants to introduce this aspect of digital payments across the platform by 2026, then they have to put in place legislation to prevent the government from accessing people's private accounts, private bank accounts, to freeze the assets, to freeze their accessibility to their money. This is a reality that we're facing today. Well, in a few minutes, I'll be moving into our first segment, but I do want to share something very personal with you. And some of you are already aware of it. I placed it on my Facebook page. I'm going to ask you, Dave, if you could bring that up. But my wife has developed some very serious life-threatening conditions that are regrettably are not being able to be treated here in Barbados. She has to travel overseas, and so we have established a GoFundMe platform page to ask for assistance from persons who would be willing to assist us. We do have to raise somewhere in the area of 70 to 75,000 US. I think everybody knows how expensive operations are. She has to undergo several different operations, tests, consultancies, I mean, all kinds of things. I'm going to put it here. I don't know if I can put it here. I would have to ask permission to put it here in our chat, but it is on my Facebook page. If you look up my name on Facebook, you'll find it there, and you'll be able to assist us if you're willing to do so. But we do have to travel overseas. We have made contact with the Health City in Grand Cayman, where I have been going for the last 19 years. And they have indicated that they do have the access to the equipment required to save her life. She is in a life-threatening mode. She has had a situation with gallstones in the gallbladder, and one of those stones has actually moved and is blocking her bile duct to the pancreas, which we understand could result in oh dear, I don't remember the name of the disease at the moment, but it is life-threatening, and we are seeking the support of anyone who is able to assist us in raising the funds for her health. And so I want to thank you for whatever you're able to do, especially to pray. She's a great woman of faith. I am going to tell you, she is alive right now because of faith. Thank you so much, Dave and Marcia. They've actually put it up in the chat, and I appreciate it so much, Dave, Marcia. Thank you so very much. And we are asking for not only your prayers. You know, there's a verse of scripture that says, "Faith without works is dead," and so we are engaging the works. We are praying, and we're believing for her full health. That's my beautiful wife there that you're seeing next to me. She is a wonderful person. Those of you who have ever met her, you know her heart. She's given her life throughout our ministry to others. She has been supporting other people left, right, and center, very often taking our food and our finances to help to look after other people. And now it's her turn to be cared for. And so we are seeking your support. And you can share it with your platforms, your networks, and we'll be happy for whatever you're able. Don't think any amount is too small. If it's $5, a dollar, don't think so. There's an old Jamaican saying, I think Marcia would agree with me, every mickle makes a muckle or something like that. And so we really want to thank you so very much for your support and your assistance. And I've been going through all the shows with all of this in the back of my mind. Many of you would never have known that, never believed that. There was one night that we were very, very, very concerned. She was literally passing out, fainted, she vomited, all kinds of things really happened. And we prayed very fervently. And on a couple of occasions, I've literally had to pray her back to life. I've been traveling. I received a call. My sons told me she's pale, she's cold. She herself saw herself as she laid on the floor. And all I can tell you that God has been extremely good, and we're deeply grateful. Those of you who don't believe in him, and I can tell you he's real and he does answer prayers. And so we thank you so very much for your assistance. We are deeply appreciative of whatever you can do. Dave, they put it there, the link in the chat. You can feel free to go there and make your donation. And comment or whatever. I will say that we have made provision for local persons in Barbados to make local donations. But if you wish to do so, there is an area in the link on the page where you can send an email to my son, who's the organizer of the page, and he will provide the local account directly to you. And this is to avoid any scammers. This is to avoid any hacking or anything of the sort, where we'll be able to send you that account information directly to you, rather than putting it up there for everyone to see, because we know that not every sheep is a sheep. Okay, we know that very well. So we're grateful and thank you so very much for all that you will do where her life is concerned. She's a wonderful person. She has been a strength, a wonderful mother, great grandmother, and we just thank God for her. So we appreciate whatever you're able to do for her. Now, we're going to be moving into the next segment of the show. We have an upcoming video, and here is where we won't have a call-in segment tonight, but here's where I want to be able to see your comments here, and I'm going to try to address those comments. But we do have a 20-minute video from a Bajan gentleman, and we want you to listen to this, and we want to discuss it through the comment section. So I'll be listening to the video, watching for your comments, and we'll discuss it there before we go to our following segment at 8 o'clock. Okay, thank you very much, Patrick. I appreciate you praying for her recovery. Thank you so much, Judy. We have, my dear, we have put everything in God's hands. We trust him. The Bible says, I will lift up mine eyes to the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, who hath made heaven and earth. And so we are deeply grateful to God for his goodness. Thank you, M. Gardner, for your words. We are praying for her, and we're looking forward to her full recovery. And thank you so very much. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate that. Thank you so very much for praying for her recovery. But we need a lot more too. Well, I shouldn't say we need a lot more. In addition to prayer, we need some of those funds, some of those finances. As I said, it's our works going along with our faith to see that all is addressed. All right. So we're going to move to this next segment, 20-minute video from a Bajan man. And we want you to listen to what he has to say. And then we are going to discuss it through the chat, right? So you can put your information, your questions, your comments there in the chat, and we will discuss it in the chat. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so very much. God bless you as well. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dave, so you can go right ahead, sir, and run that video so that we can enter into this discussion. Okay, we're just waiting for Dave to just run that, pull that video up. While he's doing that, we have to keep our eyes open. There's a lot happening in our country. We know all that's happening with the sanitation department, the people with regards to paternity leave. We've seen the Prime Minister launch the development to Bridgetown, that aspect in the development to Bridgetown, and a number of different things that are happening in our country. So Dave is ready. So let's hear what this Bajan gentleman has to say.
No, oh my God, Sutherland, you think I forget you? I got to touch up on you too. How all of a sudden, now we had a lot of accidents just happened at corner there by Carmere School. They implement around about a little concrete thing in the middle. I pass it here, they see the guy little triangle now with some little flowers and things that look very sweet and working. From the time that little roundabout implemented, they had another accident there. And they're working very effective and very smooth and nice. Not another accident I see there since. And that, I tell you, that can't even cost $50,000 to put that little concrete up in that little like pyramid slope and the little plant and thing. Not even $50,000. But you know, politicians attend, you know, I get one of the friends and some cost $250,000 to you, right? And you know how that money gonna spend and how that gonna work. But that was small effective. I want to know now, why is it you, Sutherland, talking about you got to acquire 5 acres of land to put around the boat at Windsor? Windsor is already a big open 4-area space. Yes, you're going to make a 2-lane now for John Buston coming from the border hall side going to the Y sexuals. But you already got the white nest coming from Lears and from Oak St. George side, Brighton side. You already got the space for the John Buston and stuff like that. Now tell me, I want you to tell me, 5 acres of land. You know it's 5 acres when you just got to make a circle right there because you got the room, the houses and them out there. When you acquire the 5 houses, 5 acres, what is the bill for acquiring this 5 acres? Who you getting this 5 acres from? When the wrong bill, I hope that you see people acquiring how to pay for the land and turn around working the same land and making money with the same land that someone had to acquire and buy from the plantation owners. All these things needs to be asked. All this stupidness needs to be stopped. Hope Foundation, the houses are gone, the money that gone, the chair people, the chairman and all them that retire, we still waiting for that investigation. Look, it is high time I want Bajans to come to the senses and just get rid of one of the people that met heads road and only get rid of one. But if they got good accountability of what's going on, get someone wanna lock up out here. I want to high criminals. I want to keep him down the average man for living a comfortable life in this rock where he was born, raised, and lived. I want to keep him down. I want the pockets fat. I want to greedy. I want to learn, deceitful. I don't know. I want to less than being human. I want to got God to come and be speaking on platforms, and because we know we're dealing with people that I don't even know the words to describe, right? But people like me, I ain't settling for it. So Sunderland, you need to come and you gotta tell people how on earth a little small circle can be made could be so effective, but now you gotta acquire 5 acres. You flyovers going there too. 5 acres to build a big open space where no houses, nothing at all. And 5 acres government got required to build around about there. But come to people about Ministry of Health, Jerome, whoever you name, I don't even hear your name being called. So whoever you name, you got a hospital, people going on there and dying. All this money borrowing, but yet still Barbados can't go stay the hospital to take care of these citizens that work so hard that when they stack up the money every single week, every single month. Then some article the other day, when I got some brand new machine, they cost some money just sitting down, a life-saving machine. I tell you, when they could cure for people, I want to for jackasses, for people that say when running behind party from party to party, talking about me, cures and this and that. Where's she care? Oh, when they just mumble against one themselves, when there's a bunch of asses and the body is stepping up the plate and coming out and calling these people comfortable, striking, putting on the right clothes, dung in tools and so when they're walking them more. Right now in Barbados, about 10 government places, about 15 private sector places including the private sector too, because when in 2018 when they're striking, the private sector tell you, yeah, go out strike, we gonna pay when to put out because it's a white people government now, right? So you know, if white people they can't no cause they get what they want. But when funders they stand up against them. And that's all upon the merchants, but we had hollering, right? And when the IMF the begging, not begging, the APA funder case and want to come in there and the funder say no, and them coming with their standard report that I link to them downgrade every minute, and the jackass BAJANs, oh, he doesn't get downgrade, we gotta get rid of he don't talk. Funder did the talker, he did the action man, he did the worker. You understand? But we gotta get rid of he same thing happen in Libya. The same thing, Gaddafi do the best he can. Gaddafi the fighting for people. People there to get in houses, watch the marriage, they got a house on own land. God, then the West didn't like it. Gaddafi they bringing their own African currency. The West didn't like it, and the West went here and take it out. And the same people that Gaddafi the fighting and making sure big up, sell it out. That's how ignorant when is. When the same people that went striking against Fondel to put in this woman now, and the BAP administration, white people administration, and now look, when they're suffering, right? The IMF and Standard & Poor linked together. All of a sudden, no, Standard & Poor don't exist anymore. You don't hear them, you know when they can't come and say Barbados got upgrade up there for Standard & Poor, not from the Fitch. Them want to live frivolous, stupid ass credit rating companies that the boy don't rate. Boy, you can't hear for Standard & Poor that they hear every single month downgrade Fondel. Where Fondel the Prime Minister? Huh? Boy, you can't hear for them, you know why? Because they choose the 7 of them and want to lose the credibility in their ratings and their company. So them can't tell you that Barbados got upgrade because we in hellhole. So we can't see no upgrade. So you will never hear none coming for Standard & Poor in a hurry. You want to better check on yourself here. That's the huge one walk up. No, all the Ministry of Education. Now you got 2 ministers in the Ministry of Education. The same deceitful Lord Prime Minister that come and tell people back in 2014 how Fondel got 17 ministries and ain't got a good conscience and how the ministers don't even see the 2 portfolios that they should merge education with health and merge this and next. Look what she come and do. And when the people settle for this. Ministry of Education got 2 ministers now. 2, not 1. You understand? Now what's going on in Barbados? You got teachers, you got principals that has been reporting, sending reports. The school here at Black Mongolia got a burst pipe. It got a leak in the bathroom. It got mold displays. It got rats rodents. The garbage can need a cage built so that the stray dogs at night can't get to the cans and skin all the garbage every morning. They're working the ground staff, whoever it is. They try to tie off the cans, but the stray dogs still getting it topsy-turvy. All these things are reported in Ministry of Education. I just want to know if these people, the staff that is actually working Ministry of Education, if them has got children. Or if because that them children don't go at the particular school, that is, the reports is coming, them don't care. And most of the time, I don't work in this field. These are things that people is that frightened. I don't know where the frightened thought that in the schools just come and say that when they're sending the reports to the Ministry of Education, who don't say that who don't say, yeah, buddy, who don't say that oh, it ain't that serious, it ain't that bad, we'll get back to one of a year in report, 2 years. You see that same incident there with that little boy, that little child that went in the hospital with the outbreak? Oh, where this don't happen so in schools? It's come from a build-up and a build-up and a build-up of problems that these schools and principals keep reporting and in the Ministry of Education keep ignoring. And then you get to a point where a child might go and lose their life now for them people that want bang now in the all emergencies to fix things. You think that this kind of thing does be right though? Huh? For people that be working every single day, getting the money take out to put there for government to facilitate and to provide proper service for these entities. I you just be here ain't that serious. Because we got infection, I'm charging food, ain't that serious. It ain't that bad, all kind of foolishness. All these things need to stop. All these things need to be highlighted. Call out these people, head got raw. I want to sitting down and just taking these nonsense from these people. One of the principals at schools is big people. Go to the media. If the National carrying news, SCBC carrying news, go to some private entity that is carrying news and report them when appointed. But when they got this thing that we appointed, the government they can't get ready and stand up for something. When they get some Barbados going down the drain, it deteriorating over time, further into hellhole, and we ain't gonna do nothing. Fear God, don't fear man. No woman or woman that want to be man. Fear God. Barbados gone. Everybody saying, but we're gone. Everybody living in fear. One of the authorities know that got a right now and the chance to step up and expose these things and get people rallying up and pull back Barbados. Want to keep them with the mouth shut. These things ain't good enough. I ain't fair, I ain't right. And they got to stop. It can't continue like this. No. Case for the NCF, Carl Roberts, you. Yes, yo. Right? I'm talking with you. You see, case with now you got patriots. Patriots, that's what telling them about Bajans when it's so gullible and so stupid. People talk dosa what when it's stupid and foolish as ass and so hypocritical. I'm gonna be rough this morning because I fed up and I don't care. You understand? If I was the CEO of the National Cultural Foundation, I see that the people of Barbados grumbling enough. Work with the people who you think that you always got a big head, a big nose, a big ego. Sometimes you just gotta humble yourself and stand down. Work with people, let everybody be happy, you be happy. You see, you already, you don't got no more to prove. You at the pinnacle, set a good example. You want to tell me that when we're trying to prove that who's boss and who I'm boss and what? The people said they don't want the blasted picking up foreigners at the Botanical Gardens, the one at Kensington. Give the people what they want. The people is who going to be paying the money, they're going to supporting these events. But the people is jackasses. I want to know it. So therefore, when they step out the boundaries and doors, when like time and the ignorant let door soul and exclamation marks that people describing as, but I just started playing as stupid and foolish as ass and hypocritical. If the people, the patrons, will stay home and boycott these things, then when it's so we got humble one of ourselves, right? But these stupid ass people that's be mumbling on social media, but they're still going out and turn out at these events, right? But every year come that if people get a little sense to stay home, then it will be a one face. When they got a lot to answer for, then when they got humble with themselves and listen to the people and do what the people say, right? But right now, when they got a lot of bunch of stupid ass people that when they're dealing with it, so when they get rid of a lot of murder in Barbados, I want it in Barbados, I would feel like a dog, Carl Roberts, to see so much people blasting me, but you know what, you don't care. You understand? I would feel like a dog to see if I'm a head of an entity, establishment, corporation, whatever, and people blasting me left, right, and center talking about me. I will have to either step down or listen to the people. You know, got a big ego. What big ego getting you nowhere? All they getting you is a bad repetition and people hate you more. These things could be so hard for them to understand, realize I work with people. You're the human being just like everybody else. But you know, you want to be big and snobbish and manly. As I call them words, Liz Thompson come straight to my mind too. Another one, she could hold her hands together. Who they really think that one is that when it's somebody and other people in the body? If that spread don't go there, work. So when they're taking out, the government taking out the taxes on the money when they can't be paid, when they nobody. So you should feel like a dog, Carl Roberts. I will say other things, but you bang and set them on social media, but you should feel like a dog. Like I said, stand there should be ashamed to see that she got ministry like Ministry of Transport at work. So much potholes in this place. The average working, hard citizen that paying the taxes all the time and more when they implement it over. Potholes you got to do with the road. Road markings ain't good. Road bad. Transportation bad. Common things like they say, the hard working citizens that go along every day after day when they can't get work for people. If I don't want my politicians get perk or carry money, carry in the country good, and when everybody living a comfortable life, and then any need for carrying money neither, because when they got money to juggle with and do things, and let everybody live good. When you're dead, you can't carry the money with you, so what we want some freaking money for to do what with it? Huh? When there's a bunch of hypocrites, but you see, when the head bad, the whole body bad. When we got a leader that you know how she like stylish and how she does roll, we can't expect nothing but bad. You can't expect good to come out of bad. Bad is kind of bad. So we is to blame for putting this kind of administration in place. I tell you already, from the 2018 for a platform, I said when they're going to realize that when they talk about the last 10 decades, that when they're going to realize that was 10 glorious years we had, and when they ain't going to realize it till late. When they're realizing they know what the man talking about, right, you words drop the ground. Because when the city state of Barbados right now, from crime, from how the roads is, the bus service, the nursing system, the health system, the teaching, the educational system, when I see everything is so atrocious and bad and corrupt and stink and musty and nasty, right? But all the shame is ass now. Shame! Don't do nothing about it. Just keep complaining on social media and that's it. But you, Carl Roberts, you turn coming to, I don't know what you got from the Prime Minister, but All in a little cool. You, Liz, the other one I call you there. You, Liz, and the other one, man. Oh my God, I can't remember she name now. Kim McCartney. I don't know when we got punchy, but what when we got punchy, when we got good. Because when it's buds, when the lake, but we have feet out, nobody can't tell when nothing. But when we heard in the whole entire, when y'all are not patriotic at all. When it comes to this country, y'all are terrorists coming to destroy this country. Good morning. No, peoples. Very strong attacking you. It's high time now that bitches stop coming on social media. And nobody don't talk like me, because I'm trying to get people aware, because I'm aware and they're always ready. They want me out front, pointing the sword, pointing the word harsh, and they're ready to attack. It's high time that we stop with this long complaining and arguing and just saying what we got to say on social media, whether it be IG, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. It's high time we take action, right? Hold these people accountable, demand transparency and accountability, and let me know what's going on in this country. Demand it. Strike, put down tools, call out these people, and get answers. If not, we're doing nothing. Whereas Sean, you miss that finance, you borrowing. I tell when I'm ready, they got a lot of economists, but we have a lot of people get bio, get big jobs, get electric BMWs to drive boats, so they're keeping them out shut, they're making sure the family's right, that the immediate family, the children, I think that later on when shit hit the fan, them know that they're covered. But I want these people that right now getting bio and enjoying life and putting the things in place for the children, the grandchildren, that they ain't gonna be living in Barbados by themselves. So when things get real tough and all this money that we gotta be paying back, and when they got them secure, that's when the kidnapping will come in place now, and the same people that gonna target is one of the children, one of the family that off well, that get bio, and they saying the word, so it's still gonna be problems, because people gonna be suffering bad and want to say they real bad, and they're gonna get desperate. And things that ain't seeing Barbados, gonna start seeing it like what you're seeing happening already. So I'm gonna take heed. We're gonna continue getting bio and keep them out shut and don't oppose what's going on in this country. Whereas trying you, back to you. Barbados is generate $40 million a month off of garbage tax. 80 million. Don't tell me that it's going in wages for public sectors. If it does go in wages, whoa, that's it. We gotta look at Prime Minister Mia Marley, which the opposition said Fundal has 17 ministry, and you can merge some. You got the conscience that this ministry could go in next, because ministers don't even say two portfolios when they come. She got 2 ministers in ministry of education alone, about 30 ministries. One of the people ain't saying what's going on in Barbados. We're in modern day slavery. Prime Minister Barbados link up with IMF, the white people, and Macron, France. Look at what happening in Africa. Ibrahim Traore throat the French. All of a sudden, no, Burkina Faso got schools, hospitals, farmers, got big farming plant producing this amount of cashew nuts and all kind of different things. You understand? And rising up because they're using them own resources to build up their country. France and them only have military base in there and extracting all the gold. Canada and France and them places, they have no gold mines, but yet still them got the first and second and third biggest reserve of gold in the world. You understand? When the people gotta wake up and stop with this foolishness about party and who wanna look and suffering bad. $40 million from garbage and sewage contribution alone. $80 million. I mean 80 million BAJAN. You want to me that just paying wages? And if that just paying wages, fine. Right off that. What happened with VAT that is collecting garbage? VAT is met at least 10 times the amount that we just collect from just garbage and sewage when the month. That's a monthly thing. VAT is get charged from food, hardware, tires, cars, every single thing that you buy in Barbados, whether from domestic, whatever. VAT does be on 7.5%. VAT does be on it and getting charged every single day. Like bill, water bill, everything. VAT. Where this money going? And it's make about 10 times the amount of this sewage contribution and garbage collection is due a month. So if sewage contribution, you reckon $80 million a month, VAT gotta be reckoning 800 million a month. You don't understand what he's saying to winner, because it's only like $45 for sewage and garbage, and the households that but here it come up to 80 million a month. That's VAT. Then you got the road tax levy up on the gas. Then you got the seaport customs. You got the airport with customs. You got land tax. IMF report said that the land taxes will clear off the bill that Barbados debt that Barbados owe them the land tax alone. Land taxes make about 3-4 times the amount that the sewage and garbage they collect. So if you throw in garbage collect 80 million a month, 960 million Bajan dollars a year, land taxes make about 3 billion in 1 year. Where are this money going? But yet still borrowing. You know why? So modern day slavery, messing with people, poor people money, and telling them we borrow money, so you gotta keep working, we gotta keep taxing on a country like Barbados, 166 square miles should never be so much debt. Everybody should be living good. That's for you, Warren Sean. I came back at all the rest today. I got a lot for my mind. I trying to stand calm, but I know I'm gonna blow up.
Wow, I tell you, I don't know if that's all of it, Dave, or if you're going to stop there, because in a couple of minutes we're going to be moving into our next segment. But I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you may not like necessarily some of the expressions, but let me tell you, this gentleman is spot on. He is spot on. I saw so many of you commenting with regards to how true he is. True that. Patrick Design says Barbados is a money tree and only the BLP and their elaborates believe they are to reap the sweets. You know, I observed in the newspaper just today the persons who are doing the construction here in Bridgetown, and there's one single investor, a single investor. He's not a Barbadian either. And I read all the construction aspects to go on in Bridgetown, and I hear all the talk. But at the end of the day, what I see is Barbados, Bridgetown is being sold out to foreign investors, foreign buyers. Yes, we need the foreign currency, but you know, I'm concerned. I'm very, very concerned. I have been traveling in and out of Grand Cayman. The Caymanians have expressed clearly to their government that things have to change. This has been clearly expressed. They've changed the government a couple of times down in Grand Cayman. And this aspect of selling out the country has motivated a lot of those changes. And you know, this gentleman touched on almost every minister: Sutherland, Jerome Walcott, Carl Roberts, Ryan Strawn, the two ministers in education. I tell you, and listen, he's right on the roundabout. I have been into Cayman, and you know, Cayman drops roundabouts down. No big deal. They don't need 5 acres of land to do a roundabout. I remember one roundabout in Grand Cayman when I first went there. I drove straight over it. I mean, I went straight over the roundabout. That's how small the roundabout was, because I didn't know. But once I knew, everybody operates that little roundabout, and there's enough land there in Windsor that a small roundabout can be done. And once you're into a roundabout, no problem. There's room for the access roads, the roads to take you off to the areas where you want to go. There's no need for 5 acres. I agree with the caller on that. Right? So, folk, listen, we have to stop talking. We got to get up. We have to march. We have to protest. We have to put our tools down. It seems that this government only knows one thing, and that is the vote. You're going to lose the government. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, the thing that sank the Titanic was not the 1/10 of the iceberg that the individual captain saw. It was the 9/10 he didn't see. And if Ms. Motley is basing her popularity on what she is seeing from her lackeys, she is going to be in for a significantly serious surprise in the next general election. My only word of advice to the opposition parties is to stop playing games, try to get together and get this country's interests ahead of your own personal egos and establishments, and let's do what is in the best interest for this country. And I will leave my closing comment with regards to that. I wish, Dave, I just wish we could get this gentleman on the show. I tell you, he expressed himself so very, very well, and I really appreciated listening to him. I know some of you may have been a little surprised, but that's okay. Not to worry. Okay, not to worry at all. Well, we are going to be moving into our next segment. I'm trying to keep my schedule going. You know, Marcy expects me to do this, so I want to honor that. And I want to welcome our very next guest to the Marcia Week show. This is Lynn BOINTIN. I'm told that she's really called Sunny by most people. And so, Sunny, I am Reverend Dr. Ferdinand Nichols. I am the host of the Marcy Week Show, mainly on Mondays. But tonight, I get the distinct privilege of being the host for the show tonight because of some other engagements that she's needed to be at. And so I want to welcome you to the Marcy Week Show. I don't know if this is your first time or if you've been on before. Okay, I can see you've been on before. But on behalf of the loyal opposition and the people of Barbados, we want to welcome you to the Marcy Week Show. Good evening.
Good evening, Reverend Ferdinand. Thank you so much for that lovely welcome, and good evening to everybody who's tuned in. Thank you for being here tonight.
I understand that you're going to be sharing some rather interesting information. You know, I have tried my best to follow international news a lot because I've been mindful of the fact that a lot of the decisions being made on an international level, that is WHO, Davos, WEF, they are making their way into all of our countries, into all of our governments, and determining and dictating the policies of our governments. And I understand that tonight you're going to be looking at a subject which we find very concerning in Barbados, and that is the aspect of the planned control of food and water. And so I would just want to let you share your thoughts with us with regards to this particular aspect.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to just to watch a video, and there's a lot of videos going on tonight. I promise that this actually will be a bit calmer than the last section. But it'd be good to just watch this video, and then we can talk about it and how it relates to Barbados afterwards.
Lovely.
If the race to net zero will affect our energy, it could also have a devastating effect on our food as global policies and the march of corporations accelerate. Farming has been at the heart of our lives for generations, but to the climate change advocates, suddenly it's a threat.
A lot of people have no clue that agriculture contributes about 33% of all the emissions of the world. You just can't continue to both warm the planet while also expecting to feed it. Doesn't work.
One thing John Kerry didn't mention was that farming and agriculture contributes 100% of the food that we need to eat. So that's a little kind of an important detail that he ought to have mentioned. And I think what we're dealing with here is actually a global war on agriculture. I believe they are demolishing our food infrastructure, partly to cause a crisis, right? And I guarantee it, mark my words, we're going to be in a food crisis, and they're going to say it's climate change.
I wouldn't say it's about saving the planet. No, I would say it's about land grab and about profiteering and corporatization of our food sector.
It's basically a pharmaceutical industry taking over the food supply. If I can switch everybody from real food to pharma food, then 100% of the agricultural industry can go through my publicly traded stocks, and I have complete control. So the idea is we get rid of farmers, we kill any naturally grown food, and we engineer food in manufacturing plants and laboratories. But I assure you that those guys are not eating this.
Bill Gates is one of the familiar corporate faces, and he's investing heavily in the food revolution under the guise of avoiding climate disaster.
Cows alone account for about 6% of global emissions. So we need to change cows.
And while he talks up the perceived problem, Gates is pouring money into the supposed solution: artificial meat and genetically modified crops. Crucially, anything that is invented or altered can be patented.
The core of his agenda is he wants to do in agriculture and pharmaceuticals, by the way, what he did in the computer world. True power, massive, incalculable wealth comes from owning intellectual property and then monopolizing it. They want to make it so that every single organism that is used for food is ultimately under their control, either through the 3D printing or through this genetic manipulation. So we're moving now very rapidly toward this totally centralized food system where a tiny handful of corporate interests in bed with totalitarian government will dominate the food supply so that there is only a giant public-private partnership partnership with total control of all food, all energy, and I believe water will be next.
While the global machinations continue, thousands of farmers fear for their livelihoods. And the new UK government's first budget has multiplied those fears. By reducing relief on inheritance tax, they're penalising those who would want to pass their farms to sons or daughters. The National Farmers Union described it as
a disastrous budget
for family farms that would
snatch away the next generation's ability to carry on producing British food and see farmers forced to sell land to pay the tax.
For Kelly Seaton, concern goes well beyond her family farm in Cheshire.
It makes me feel incredibly sad that the dairy and meat industry is so vilified. You will never find anything as nutritionally complete as milk and meat. The food that is going to replace milk, meat, and all of the other products that we produce in this country is going to be very nutritionally lacking. They will starve us from nutrients, and then the pharmaceutical companies will probably pick up the slack on that, all of which create a profiteering circle.
No Farmers, No Food was set up to campaign against untenable net zero and climate change policies. Farmers, says Kelly, are being dealt a deeply unfair hand.
When cows are blamed for climate change, it does make you question everything. And I think this is where a lot of farmers are waking up to the fact that there's a lot of lies being told to us. The problem with the current carbon system is that a lot of big corporations are offsetting their carbon. So most dairy producers now especially, but other farmers as well, are having to record their carbon footprint on systems that aren't fit for purpose. They are woo-woo figures pulled from the sky, quite frankly. And then the big corporations are using that data to offset their carbon so that they can look better, again, at the same time as beating us with a stick and saying that we're the ones killing the planet with these girls.
The methane emitted by cows' digestive system is part of the argument against them, but Kelly says that's just hot air.
The grass that they eat would produce the same amount of methane whether they ate it or not. Okay, they do speed that up, but the other thing they give us is this, muck, which we put on the fields to fertilise the fields and reduces our reliance on buying in fertiliser.
200 miles to the south, Ed Rhodes farms 188 acres of Devon countryside. He's not part of the No Farmers, No Food movement, but agrees that the whole narrative on cows and climate change is wrong.
As farmers, we recycle carbon all the time. That's what we do. You could almost define farmers as carbon recyclers. We're an organic beef, sheep and vegetable farm. We run a fairly traditional system of rotational farming. We'll have a field which would be growing a brassica crop for 1 year, a non-brassica crop for another year, such as broad beans or sweet corn, and then we have a break for that field. So it goes into a predominantly grass and clover mix. That allows the soil to recover from the work that we've done with it while we've had the vegetables growing. It also allows things like the clover to put nitrogen back into the soil. So the livestock are absolutely essential for grazing that grassland. We also mow it so that the hay, the silage that we take from those fields are fed to the cattle in the winter. The bale I'm sitting on, the bedding that they're standing on, is all mown from very rushy areas on our farm. The animals then dung onto that. We compost that. That gets spread onto the land primarily where we're growing the vegetables to put the fertility in, and that's what then produces our crops. If you remove livestock from the system, you have no system.
Farmers like Ed Rhodes work with knowledge and passion, but still have to comply with a labyrinth of government rules and regulations, including carbon monitoring. And now land itself is under threat. Corporations such as British Airways are buying farms to plant trees for carbon offsets, while other areas are being declared sites of special scientific interest, restricting or even preventing use for crops and livestock. And then there's the United Nations SDGs.
Goal 15. Protect, restore and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems.
Consequently, rewilding programs are impacting farmland across the world. In the UK, for example, the government is planning to set apart 1,200 square miles for wildlife habitat by 2042. That's an area almost as large as Cornwall. And in America, dams are being removed and river courses reopened, disrupting water supplies for crops. Goal 13 states,
take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts.
As a result, the Dutch government plans to close 3,000 farms to meet EU emissions targets, drawing widespread protests. And in Denmark, farmers face paying £80 for every cow they own in a world-first tax on meat.
Goal 7. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all.
One result, cultivated land is disappearing under vast solar parks. How does this square with the UN's biodiversity goals or even ending hunger? Maybe they're questions for Ed Miliband, the UK's Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero. He's cleared the way for a huge solar park on prime farmland in East Anglia, an area big enough to site 1,745 football pitches.
It's a crime to take food productive land out for solar panels, which are unrecyclable, potentially not that productive going forward, and not feed the planet. It is absolutely catastrophic. We've gone from being 78% self-sufficient in 1984 to now less than 60% self-sufficient. I think it's about 54%, which I think is set to fall even further this year.
On top of all that, British farmers are being paid not to produce food under schemes like the Sustainable Farming Incentive. Kelly Seaton understands that many farmers accept the money to balance their books, but has this warning.
When you look at how many farms are selling up, how many arable farms are struggling, we're walking into food shortages, and I think we're going to end up eating more processed food, maybe lab-grown meat, and I think that's part of the plan.
The squeeze on farming is self-evident. Our supply of natural food is under very real threat, just as the WEF predicted. Worse than that, Catherine Austin Fitz says that with programmable currency, you wouldn't have a choice.
No one in their right mind would ever eat this stuff. But the reality is, once they have control of your transactions, they can dictate what food you can and cannot buy.
Yes,
if you buy pizza made with insect-based flour, that's what you're going to get.
There's an energy crisis. Even though there is an abundance of energy, there's a food crisis, even though there's plenty of food to feed the world. There's a water crisis, even though 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with it. There's an air crisis where CO2 is declared the enemy of mankind, even though it's necessary for life to exist on Earth. There's a resource crisis, even though there are abundant resources to support everyone. What's with us here? You know, who created all these crises? They did it. Just as clear as the nose on my face. It's all been a sham. All the essential things of life, they've been declared to be scarce, because things that are scarce you can control.
The architects of such globalist trajectories, all the Kissingers, Rockefellers, Schwabs, Carneys, Strongs, Carstens, are held out as great intellects, but they are nothing of the sort. We know both in theory and in practice that centralization causes nothing but misery, because it destroys the mechanisms of error correction, leading to doubling down on flawed policies.
And yet the creed of global dominance continues apace.
And there we have our esteemed Prime Minister front and centre in that photograph.
Yes.
Standing next to the Great Britain Prime Minister, Keir Starmer.
Yes.
We used to call him Sir, but there we are. You know, you've seen the global plan, and you can see that our Prime Minister is there, right in the thick of it. So this isn't something that we're distant from, and we really do have to take seriously. So, Dave, if you could move on to the water data document, please. I'm going to sort of discuss water first and then come back to the food thing, because I've had some experience with this personally. But I'll show you once Dave has got that document up. That's frightening statistics. Is I don't know if anybody can read that. Could it be a little bit bigger? That's perfect. Thank you. So I've just highlighted the bits in red, actually. Sorry, David. If you could just center that, that'd be great. Just to show you that we are actually considered to be the 15th water scarce country in the world, according to the United Nations. And we only get 1,000 cubic meters of water per person annually. Now, the thing about this is BWA figures, we actually lose 40% of our water through leaks. That's nearly half of all of our water is lost through leakage. We know that the state, I used to live in St. Lucie, and the state of the water up there was dreadful. I mean, it was just brown. I think they're doing something about it now, but it was for years. Anything white that you had that went in the wash came out brown. And, you know, whatever drinking water was just revolting. And so we don't manage the water very well here. It's the same with Gibbs Gully, which is my pet project. They're planning to build on the gully, which is a natural water course, which is crazy. And a lot of the water that comes down from the sky runs back into the sea. So we do actually get an abundance of water. It's just very poorly managed. And we've got, again, according to BWA, we've got 27 reservoirs on the island, but clearly we're going to need some more, particularly if they're going to be building all these hotels. If you could just scroll up for me, Dave, that'd be great. So yeah, we're losing a lot from the poor infrastructure, terrible leaks, it is very much manageable. Something can be done about it. It's not impossible. So why isn't that being a priority, as everybody should have the right to water? I know that they've got this $12 million loan from the European Investment Bank, which is supposed to be going to sort of solve the problem. But you know, I don't see $12 million worth of work being done to our pipes in Barbados. Again, you know, it's the same old question: where is the water going? Now, this is interesting. This nexus resilience, water sector resilience nexus for sustainability in Barbados. If you could just go up a bit, Dave. Sorry. I went to a meeting about that, so I'm just going to talk about that. Sorry, could I have the next document, which is it's a photograph of the water sector resilience nexus. Dave, thank you. So this, that's it, perfect. This was delivered to a neighbour's door via the post, and it was an invitation to go to a meeting. There was one BWA person there, but it was actually run by a fellow called Dr. It's Adrian Cashman. He's on the bottom of this letter, who works for this Nexus company, whatever they are. And it was very interesting because we were invited on this particular date, and then it was cancelled, and it was rescheduled for the next Wednesday. Well, we turned up, and my neighbour and myself were the only two to go. And the school janitor, poor man, wasn't expecting anybody at all. He knew nothing about it. So we phoned this Dr. Cashman, and he said, "Oh no, we'll be there in 10 minutes." And they did duly turn up. And this poor fella had to go and open up the school hall and put all the fans and the lights on for us, just for the two of us. So there were about 10 of these people from these organisations, and as I said, one chap who was very good actually from the BWA. So because there were only two of us in the audience, it became more of a discussion than anything else. And I said, "Well, look, why are there only two of us here? How did you actually promote this?" And he said, "Oh, via Barbados Post Office. That, you know, these invitations were posted out to people. So I said, well, how many did you actually post out? Didn't know. So I said, well, clearly there's only 2 of us here, so this isn't very efficient. And he actually relayed this story to me to say, well, the one we did last week, I think it was in St. Philip, but I might be wrong on that. He said nobody turned up to that. And then I saw somebody that got the invite, and the invite came a week after the actual meeting. So they're not serious about engaging the public here. But as we know, these organizations have to adhere to natural law. They have to tell us what they're doing. It's, you know, that's the only law that they apply to themselves, but this is what it is. So this to me very much stank of being a lip service, going through the motions exercise, because if nobody turns up, they can still say, well, we had this meeting and, you know, nobody came. But we were there anyway. So it became more of a discussion, but we did let him go through his PowerPoint presentation. And at the end of it, it was, if you'll see in the text there, it says that it was the key goals were to review our existing laws. So my spiny senses went up, and I thought, okay, what's this? This is obviously the hidden text, what's going on here. So I said, well, which laws are you wanting to change? And he said, well, there's 2 areas. The first one is that at the moment, this all comes under the remit of public health, and we'd like to get it changed by law to being under the Environmental Agency. I said, okay, so what's the second one? He said, oh, that's a real can of worms. Let's not open that one. And I said, well, no, let's. Isn't that what the meeting's for? So then we got to the real reason of where this took about an hour and a half to get to this point. But the real reason was that the WHO want to have basically agency over all the water standards on the planet, which means they want to own all the water, basically. So that was what it took an hour and a half to get there, but we got there in the end. And this was obviously what was going on. So they can say, well, we've done a public consultation, and if you didn't know about it, it's not our fault. But they've done their very best, their darndest, to make sure that nobody turns up to the meetings and they're talking to an empty hall. So so that's what's going on with the water, is basically what I'm saying. It is a terrible system. It does need more input. It needs starting again, really, in some areas. As I said, being up north as well, in St. Lucie is terrible, and St. Peter's not much better. But this is what's really happening. These agencies are working on behalf of the WHO. They're going through the motions. They have a massive budget. I think it was something like $45 million budget, US, to do this. So again, more money, lots and lots of money, but where's it going? So Dave, if you could go to the next document for me, that would be great, which I think is the impact. Yes, it's the impact on water, which was a paper that was done. It was a study on Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago about the impact of COVID-19 on the water situation in our two sort of areas. There we go. And if you could just go down to page 7, Dave, where there's a graph. So I just wanted to highlight who uses the most water, and this is shown on this. So this was a white paper. Sorry, the next one is figure 2. So down one more, I think. Again, keep going. That's it, that one there. If you could just make that a bit bigger, that'd be great. So obviously it's going to be the years of the COVID. It went right down because the island was virtually empty. But if you look at 2017, 2018, and 19, and this beginning part of 2020, the silver line at the top, or the grey line at the top, is hotel use. Sorry, Dave. Yeah, that's great. So that's hotel use. So you can see that they are using the most water on the island. The orange one, just for clarity, is commercial, and the dark blue one is the government's, what they use, and the blue line at the bottom, the light blue line, is residential. So we actually use the least water, as people that live here use the least water of all. So as we know, they're building these massive hotels, Pendry, Royalton, and now they're planning the 9-story one where the Civic Centre is. There's the ones on the south coast. Where's the water coming from? What are they going to do about the sewage? Are they going to address this? If they're going to have, planning to have thousands more people come to the island to fill these places, how are they going to cope with that? Because at the moment, this current system we have is rubbish. So they might be building the hotels. Are they building more reservoirs? Are they going to make sure that we have enough water, catching the water? Are they going to stop the leaks? So this is the question, really. What are we going to do? Because as we can see,
Yes.
So
Wow.
that's the sort of water section. But going on to the food section, if you could, Dave, which is the next one. There's a very short video. Sorry, did you get the video of the Chinese fella chatting about it? So it's a short video, but it shows you, because I'm not sure if everybody knows about this facility up. It's called the Food Research Facility up in St Thomas by
St Thomas. Yes.
Yeah. Up by LYNN and Castle up there. I drove past it actually about a week and a half ago, and it really looks as if it's been abandoned. There is something I'll show you later that they're saying it hasn't been abandoned. Apparently the governments are doing the electrics and other bits of fittings, but it's been built for the last few years. I've watched them building it. But if you could just show that little video for those who aren't aware of it, Dave, if you've got it there. It was on a separate email. I sent it to you. I think I sent it after that's it. Yeah. So that's the site. It's more advanced than that now.
In the parish of St. Thomas in Barbados, a significant project is underway to enhance the country's food security. Thanks to the dedicated efforts of Chinese workers, the construction site of the China Aid Center for Food Security and Entrepreneurship project has witnessed a substantial progress, with the main buildings taking shape.
我们这个项目的开工时间是在2022年7月31号，计划在明年3月份竣工。这个项目总占地面积是54000平方米，其中包括对外培训使用的会议中心，然后还有辣椒加工厂、蔬菜加工厂、水果加工厂、检测实验室、巧克力加工厂等等，总共是13个。
As a Caribbean island, Barbados relies heavily on imports of food and vegetables with the need to improve agricultural production and processing technologies. The center holds immense importance in ensuring the nation's food security, driving agricultural development and enhancing the quality of life for the people.
它是将作为巴巴斯长期农业规划发展的一部分，而这个项目的实施也标志着中国援助巴巴多斯粮食发展的一个标志性的事件。这个项目建成之后，必将成为中国中巴友谊的新标杆。
Thanks, Dave. Well, I don't know about you, but that doesn't look like any farm I've ever been to. So what's really going on? So again, if you could put up the next, the Hope Agricultural one that you had on before, Dave, please. You know, this word smart, Reverend, you know this word smart means usually the opposite.
Very much so, very much so. You know what I must say that is encouraging. I know our time is going so quickly, but what I note is the global agenda that's driving our whole aspect of food security and water supply.
Yeah, exactly. If I just, sorry, I just point out on this. Sorry, if you could scroll up a little bit, just under the caption under the photograph. So you've got here who's there. There's the Ministry of Training and Tertiary Education, Sandra Hubbards. Then there's the Minister, Husbands, Minister of Agriculture, blah blah blah. And you've got the BAS CEO James Paul and other stakeholders. Now you know when you hear the word stakeholders that this is a global cabal.
Yes, yes.
And I'm actually made a mistake. The BAS is not actually an NGO. I read somewhere yesterday it was. I checked it isn't. But who are the other stakeholders? You know, it doesn't say. It just says and other stakeholders. So always the devil's in the detail, isn't it? What are they not telling you? And again, if you just scroll up for me, please, Dave. You know, so. Again, just the language that they're using. If you could go up to the red There we go. Thank you. Just looking at the language that they use. Additional infrastructure includes crop storage facilities, a fire control center, a photovoltaic energy system, and biosecurity controlled access to pens, animal pens. Biosecurity access to animal pens. So does that mean we can't actually wander through a field full of cows or sheep or whatever? So only certain people can have access to the animal pens. Does that sound like a farm to you? And then if you could just go up again.
It sounds like an animal prison.
Well, it sounds like a laboratory to me. So this, and again, the language, this institute is not just about training farmers, it's about transforming how Barbados thinks about food. Exactly that. Thinks about food. Correct. So they want us to think about how we get our food from factories rather than fields. We must grow what we consume, but we must also change mindsets and build dignity into food production. Now you see that word dignity again, because what they're suggesting is that working the land, I think, is a very noble thing to do personally. But I know that there's a sort of general perception that if you work the land, it's a lowly job. I absolutely disagree with that. I think it's a very important job. But this is where they're coming into that. You see what they're doing here? So that starts with formal education from the primary school level. So they're going for the little ones, straight through to advanced agribusiness. There we go, that big agribusiness again coming in. And climate smart, there's that word, techniques.
Yeah, climate smart techniques. We just watched those climate smart techniques.
Correct.
Yes.
And again, yes, exactly, Kim. It does look like a laboratory. So if we can just go on down to the, so he framed the moment as a national opportunity to move beyond traditional
farming to food sovereignty.
Exactly. Where Barbadians have control over what they grow, how they grow it, and what they eat. But if you're doing away with traditional farming, how does that work? Sorry. So again, if we are going to manage the climate crisis, which obviously we know is nonsense, we must modernize using agricultural technology and reduce water use, accelerates time to harvest, and enables climate control for poultry, dairy, fruits, and vegetables. So they're going to be controlling what this is, again, a laboratory situation where they're controlling the climate and the accelerating it to harvest. So what they're going to be using for that, chemicals, what they're going to put into
genetically modified foods.
Yes, to force it to grow faster.
Yes.
Sorry, Dave. I think we're nearly getting to the end.
As they did with the chickens and the turkeys, and shortening the development and growth of them. And a lot of us are contracting a lot of non-communicable diseases as a result of that, affecting the lifespan of people. Yes.
Yeah. And the sector's biggest challenge is production. That is how we grow more, faster, and better. See, again, it's all forced stuff, isn't it? Facilities like these can help us improve efficiency on farms and teach our people how to do things. There's a word again, smarter, not just harder. So is this really about food, or is it about profit and control? And, I'm asking questions tonight. I'm not saying that this is what this facility is absolutely about. I'm just asking the questions because, to me, reading between the lines, I think we're just not being told the whole story.
Yeah, I can't help but agree with you, Sunny, because when I look at what is being propagated in terms of the international community, when I have seen AOC in the United States of America speak to this matter of methane being produced by cows, and I actually had to laugh. I really did, except that it's not a joke. They're taking this very seriously, and they're moving toward, the elimination of natural food and toward the movement of creating that food. I mean, it's already on the shelves, I understand, in the US, where some of Bill Gates' foods are already on the shelves in the United States. And he's already been purchasing significant portions of property in the US. And I don't know if I doubt it's being purchased to go into agriculture. My view is it's being purchased to prevent agriculture, because once you own it, you control it once you own it.
And do you know that Bill Gates' meat is actually on Ireland? I've seen his Beyond Meat, and I've seen his not intelligent, what's it called? Impossible Foods. Yeah, I've seen them in the supermarkets.
Wow. Well, I hope we're not stupid enough to buy it. I must tell you that I was at the supermarket with my wife just yesterday, and I found it very interesting. But she said to me, she wanted to get some beef, and she wanted local beef. She picked up a package from out of the containers, that carry the frozen foods, and it was the regular frozen beef we would buy that is generally manufactured in places like New Zealand and so on. And I said, but you can get the fresh meat from Barbados right over in that area. And so she went and put it down. Actually, I went and put it down for her and picked it up. But it is deeply concerning when I follow the information that you have shared. And I can say that I have seen that information, Sunny, shared on more than one platform. And I know it's not always a correct expression, but 1,000 Frenchmen can't be wrong.
Exactly. If I could just, I know I work hard on time, but if I could just offer a few solutions, because I think that's really important. It's not just to point out the problems, but come up with some ideas.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important, if you have a piece of land, your garden, or even if it's a window box or something, try and grow something that's going to feed you in it.
Yes.
If you've got a yard, get some chickens. If you've got a field, get some goats or some pigs. We need to take this seriously, and even maybe form a collective. Not everybody can buy these things, but if we can form a collective and everybody has a piece of the pig, so you buy a pig in your village, and then when the pig is slaughtered, everybody gets a piece of the pig, that sort of thing. So I think that's important. And also, if you can save as much rainwater as you can so you can actually water your food as you're growing it. Because I'm sure they're going to stop us from having all the water we want.
I'm just sitting here really amazed listening to you, because it could be my wife speaking. She's doing. It's fun, Sunny. It's funny. She is doing compost. None of the mango stuff and the banana stuff and the breadfruit skins and all of that, when we peel and so on. She takes all of that and creates compost with it. She's also collecting rainwater. She's actually doing this. She's trying to develop her own little garden in the back. I really have to try and give her a lot more support even in the face of her current health issues. And as a matter of fact, it's her current health issues that have driven her in this direction. As a result of that, she's been doing significant research online into the areas that you have pointed out. And I think it is very important for us to stop what we would call drinking the Kool-Aid and do our own research and find out what is going on around in the world around us and what is being propagated. I saw I call her our climate change poster girl. Standing there and
building all these big hotels on the coast, that lady.
Yeah, and I think I read somewhere recently, I was trying to find it while you were speaking, where an international court has just passed a law to charge countries that do not take the adequate steps toward reducing the impact on climate change. That has just been passed in the international court. I think it was just yesterday or something of that nature. But it just goes to show, and I hope that the Barbadians are listening to us. It just goes to show the influence that the globalists are having upon our local environment. And I think it's very important that we push back.
Very much so, yeah. And of course, the other thing which I was on about last time was the digital IDs. We've got to really stand against that and not take those on at all, because that's going to be the digital prison that we won't be able to escape.
Yes, and you mentioned the word smart, and earlier in the program I actually touched on that aspect when we talked about smart processes. I can't remember what it was right now, but smart cities. That's it, smart cities. And if you don't know, you need to do your research. This is to introduce what is called 15-minute cities. And, people are thinking we are talking conspiracy and misinformation, but I'm happy to see that now people in the know are coming out and making it very clear to us that these are some of the things that are going on. I noticed, for example, Sunny, that just a few days ago, that the President of the United States rejected the World Health Organization amendments citing threats to sovereignty and free speech. I was really happy to see that, and I'm saying to myself, what if America is going to do that? Then maybe the Barbados government needs to sit up and pay attention.
Exactly, because we are very close neighbours, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
But what you're saying about these smart cities, I know that for a fact, because I was invited onto a webinar purely by accident about this very subject, but that's for another program. If you'll have me on again, I'll talk you through the webinar that I actually sat through, and it was astounding.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct, because it's all tying in together. It's all being networked and brought together to control. The bottom line is control. That is the bottom line. The elite is controlling everything, controlling food, water, movement, transportation, spending, currency, everything. They want to rule. This is a part of the New World Order that many people laugh in our faces and tell us, that's conspiracy. But there's actually been a book published. I think it was back in 1994. There's actually a book published by the UN with regards to this New World Order and this world government. And so, folks, this is not conspiracy. Barbados and the Caribbean is a part of the entire development, and it is up to us, the people. And I was happy to see the protests, and I'm trying to remember, was it Spain? I think it was Spain that had some significant farmer protests. Would I be correct with that?
Certainly, I know of them. Well, there were some in London for sure.
Yes,
there was a lot in the Netherlands.
Yes, it could be there. It could be there.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Spain.
Yeah. And I think there was some in France as well to do with currency and so on. And I think that also had to do with a change in the retirement age by 1 year, I believe it was in France. They had massive protests. And it just seems that in the Caribbean, we are just satisfied and prepared to sit back and que sera, whatever will be. But Sonny, I changed my outlook when I got grandchildren. My whole outlook changed. I never believed that would have happened. And there was an old preacher many years ago. He said to me, when you have your children, it's one thing, but you will discover that when you have your grandchildren, it's another. And I must say that when I think about the world that we are leaving for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, I believe that it is at this time that we need to fight, and we need to protest, and we need to push back very strongly and firmly, even if it means striking, if it means, not buying things in the supermarket and letting it spoil on the shelf. If it has to, I think we need to engage this and engage it very aggressively.
Yes, and if we don't do it now, it will be too late.
Yes. And even in the context of what you're discussing where the water is concerned, you're absolutely correct in terms of the amount of water that we're losing from leakages and old pipes and so forth. But then again, as you again rightly pointed out, I mean, we've just had, I think you all would have had it, a deluge of water in the north of the island, more so than the rest of the island. I heard some people I know from St. Lucie, St. Peter, were indicating that there was a lot of rain up that side over the last couple of days. Yeah. And why have they not put in place and spent the money to hold or to secure that water? Why allow it just to flow straight into the sea? I mean, years ago, we could understand that. You didn't have the technology, you maybe didn't have the know-how and the capabilities and so on, but that is not the case today. And it just seems that if there is this deliberate act not to do anything about it because there is this global agenda that our prime minister is the poster girl for. And I must tell you that you're talking to the choir when you speak to me, you're speaking to the choir concerning the matter of climate change. I have never bought into it from the day Al Gore introduced it.
Yeah.
Because if I recall correctly, he was the vice president at the time that introduced this whole matter of sustainable development, and they poured billions of dollars. And I think it was just a case where people just got a lot of money.
Very much so. It was his film called something like The Inconvenient Truth, and it's been absolutely debunked. I think it was called that. But yeah, I mean, he's flown around on his private jet. He's got, you know, beachfront property, which I'm assuming he's getting insured. So
I hope so.
The insurance companies aren't too worried if they're insuring beachside properties. So yeah, it's just unloading. Everything is just upside down now. They lie and they lie and they lie again, and it's just, we've just got to open our eyes. And you know, nobody's coming to save us apart from Jesus. So we have to really just stand together. And there are so many more of us than there are of these so-called, well, I call them the deletes.
Yes, no, you're absolutely correct, you know, because when we take a look at it, like I said, you know, you look at it globally, you look at what's happening in your country. We can give away land to Afro-Exim Bank, but we can't give away land to our farmers to produce more food. You know, we can't subsidize our farmers, but we can subsidize other aspects of the economy that are not bearing the same fruit. We went through a pandemic that revealed to us the need for food security and the need to develop our agricultural sector. Yet there are massive components of agricultural land that are being converted into housing and development. And we are going to have a Minister of Agriculture that tells us nonsense. I can't even repeat what he says, to be honest with you, Sonny, because I don't read it, because it's absolute rubbish as far as I'm concerned. I really am not even interested in hearing what he has to say, because there's nothing that promotes the whole developmental aspect of agriculture in the country. You know, I don't know. I don't know how long you've been here on island, or if you were born here.
Permanently, I've lived here for 10 years. But I've been coming. Well, I started coming nearly 40 years ago now. So, yeah, a long time.
Right. Well, you would be familiar with the fact that along our roads, as we drove along our roads, we could have picked our peas. We had things called gooseberries that we were able to, some of the richest sources of what they call it. Anyhow, you know, all these vitamin things. I'm not the greatest at all of this. We had acerola cherry trees. The acerola cherry in Barbados was one of the richest sources for vitamin C in the world. And you can hardly find a cherry tree in the country today.
I had one in my garden in St. Lucie. Yeah, delicious.
Yes, absolutely delicious, and definitely a very rich source of vitamin C. You know, we used to drive along and tamarind trees. I'm beginning to see, you know, we go into the supermarket now, there are these boxes of tamarinds for costing a fortune. We used to pick them off of our trees. We used to boil them and everything. As a child, I ate so much of that. I'm amazed that I'm not a tamarind at the moment. But, you know, it's just sad to see this. And I can't help but think that we are seeing a manifestation of a level of evil. And, you know, I know there are people who may believe in different ways, and I respect that. But evil is evil. You don't have to be a faith-based person to know when something is wrong. When something is wrong, it's wrong, you know. And it's sad to see that as Barbadians, we just seem to be prepared to sit back and just let it happen. You know, I'm just saddened with that, and you know, I just wish that we had more people who would stand up and come forward. And I do appreciate you sharing what you've shared tonight. I'm glad. You know why I'm glad? I don't feel alone anymore. You know, no, really, you know, some people, I've spoken to this even within our Christian leaders circles. And, you know, I'm asking the question, what are you telling your people that are sitting in front of your pulpits every Sunday about the new world they're facing? How are they going to be dealing with the matter of the digital currency? What are you telling them? How are you telling them to deal with it, to deal with the matter of food? I listened to those people in the video you shared just now, how they're using the cow manure as fertilizer. This is something we used to do. My dad was in the sugar industry. I spent many years in the sugar factories with him, you know, walking around and drinking my fill of liquor and eating my sweets of the molasses sugar. But I remember all that bagasse and mud that was taken out of the factory, put into our fields. I remember the times that we would rest the fields, Sonny. They would do yam and potatoes, and then they would rest the field, and they would put some other crop in that would put nutrients that the yams and the potatoes needed. And then at another point, they would put in the sugar cane. We had some of the best sugar cane you would have ever seen in your life. I remember sucking some of the cane, and when you sucked it, the juice was running down all your mouth, and it was soft and it was delicious. Today, we have some grass growing for cane that can hardly produce 13,000 tons of cane.
Right. Yeah.
Sonny, I grew up with 186,000 tons of sugar.
Makes no sense, does it?
Being produced in Barbados.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think programs like this will help. I watched Ernesto Cook on Marcia's show the other day, and brilliant. He's got a great channel as well on YouTube. So if we can all try and just spread the message and get more people to really understand that it's not incompetence, that why this is happening. It's not politicians being incompetent. They're being used as puppets to bring in this global agenda.
Yes.
It's happening in every country. So you can't deny it now unless you're walking around with your eyes closed.
Yes. I'm reading the comments in the chat here as well. We have Aaron Hunt saying we collect rainwater every time it rains. Justin speaking about backyard slaughtering of animals is already outlawed. I remember when we used to kill our pigs and cows in our backyard. And we would cut up the pig and share it with the neighbors. The neighbors would come through and buy so many pounds of pork and so on. My mom and dad had special scales, those old scales that we have. I still have one of them to this very day. I still have one. There's another comment here. One big problem, people don't mind doing garden planting, but in some areas the monkeys get to them first.
I have 2 mango trees as well, and they're here all the time. You have to fight, to get there first. Yeah,
we have the same problem here, right outside of my window here. We have the same problem, and you know what angers me, Sonny? I wouldn't mind if the critters just ate the mango, but you're going to take a bite and throw it. And that's that. I'm really upset about that. Pedro Gemman says that gardening is great for health, physically and mentally, and I can confirm that. My wife often goes outside to de-stress.
Yes, perfect.
She goes outside.
Put your bare feet on the ground and ground yourself. It's so good for you.
Yes, that is something that as children we used to do a lot of, but we didn't know. And even now as adults, I was just telling my wife a couple of days ago that I can't even walk around outside now barefooted because I've been in shoes and slippers and Crocs and all these things whenever you go outside. And if I go outside now, I almost have to tippy-toe because the grass and the stones hurt my feet so badly. I'm just, like I said, checking the chat. Here's somebody that says this is Square 4. Bill Gates bought acres of land in the UK and he plans NGO. Gates and them planning for the human race, and people around the world are pushing back. I hope we can push back here in Barbados as well. Here, I think I see Judy Doughton Jill. She says here that I compost in also and grow in my own food with what little I have. I grow in the fridge, barrels, old bath pans. My wife does the same thing, absolutely the same thing.
Brilliant. And we've got to remember the skills that our grandmothers used to know and our grandfathers used to, and they lived off the land. So we really have to try and teach our youngsters as well how to grow food.
Yes, well, here's a comment by Ivor Taylor. My boss does classes for teaching gardening at her home. And I again grew up. I was waiting for our next guest to come on, and that's why I've just given you some extra time, really. But I haven't seen them show up as yet. But I remember we used to do gardening in the school. My mom was a principal at Boscobel Girls' School, and we used to do gardening. We actually planted peanuts. I remember growing peanuts and my little beans, and passion fruit.
Yeah. Again, we tried that, but the monkeys won on that one. That was a shame, but yeah.
Yes, that is a fact. Well, I heard someone in one of our shows quite clearly said that they'd love to kill all the monkeys on the island. I know they're cute and they're lovely and whatnot, but they're a real menace.
They are, unfortunately, they are.
Sandra
And
Charles.
these dogs horribly.
Sandra Charles says the problem I have seen with some people in Barbados is that they're not as sensible as they want to believe. I do believe most are quite gullible.
Not just Barbados, I think that's worldwide, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately it is. The Caribbean has transitioned to these narratives in calculated steps by their leaders. This is an interesting one by Patrick Designs. He says the things in that is that these elitist demons and workers of iniquity somehow don't and won't understand that they are doomed for failure because the Almighty Father has said they will fail.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I can say amen to that as well. I'm always reminded, Sonny, that an old saying I learned: God does not sleep and He does not slumber. And at some point, He's going to respond. And it is still, I am told, a very fearful thing to fall into the hands of a living God. It's amazing the things He can do. And sometimes it's frightening to me. I remember once saying to Prime Minister Arthur, this was just before the 2008 election, I think it was, that he didn't need to be unpopular for God to remove him. And at that time, he was quite a popular Prime Minister.
Right.
I think there was a poll actually done between himself and Mr. Thompson, and he was the more popular of the two. But he lost the government in 2008.
Right.
And I'm absolutely convinced that our Prime Minister is going to be removed from office, and it may not be in the manner that we expect. We may be thinking with regards to an election, but I do feel that there's something that is likely to befall her, and it's going to happen in such a manner that there will be no doubt who that judgment comes from. Because it is wickedness.
It is, but the trouble is, who would replace? The whole sort of political spectrum is just full of not very good people. And
Yes.
they might go in with really good intentions, but they're so easily corrupted, aren't they? They're so easily bought or frightened or blackmailed or whatever it is, but controlled basically. And that's the problem: is how do we get somebody who can remain alive, who is for the people, and who is honest and won't just succumb to these globalists.
Yes. No, you're absolutely correct, because history shows us. And I think a gentleman that spoke earlier in the program quite passionately and very firm, he referred to Gaddafi. And we saw what happened to Gaddafi when he took a stand. As a matter of fact, if my mind goes back, it also happened to the president of Iraq, Saddam Hussein. Yes, he was put in by the. Well, don't let me say something that they might want to defame me. He was put in by a regime in another country.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And when he didn't toe the line, they took him out.
Yeah.
Just today, I saw an article or video with Traoré in Burkina Faso starting the construction of the largest, if not the one of the largest airport in Africa.
Wow.
Entirely on Burkina Faso's funds, not a cent borrowed to do it.
Impressive. That's how it's going to go, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, and I'm wondering why our government does not engage African countries of that nature. If you need money, let's deal with our African neighbors and see what we can do with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so interwoven with corruption. It's going to be a long way. It'll take a lot to unpick it all, but yeah. But we live in hope, and again, all we can do is share what we know with as many people as we can. Trust in the Lord, and try and stand together, fight it, and pray a lot.
Well, I really thank you, Sonny, because, it's good to hear it coming from a number of different persons. And as I said, that old saying, 1,000 Frenchmen can't be wrong. I know in times they can be, but more often than not, you know, when you hear people who often don't even know one another, are not even related to one another, are drawing from sources independent of each other, and they're coming together saying the same thing, then I believe it is time for us to start paying attention. And I've often said here, and I've just touched on it and said, you know, I don't want to say too much about it because I am mindful of the fact that as soon as you start to push back on a globalist level, you become a target.
Yeah.
And indeed, this whole matter of climate change, I will say it probably for the first time publicly, is a farce. This entire thing is a farce. I mean, when I hear Mr. Gates talking about the reduction of carbon dioxide, I ask the question, so what are the plants going to feed on?
Yeah, he obviously doesn't know about photosynthesis, does he? He must have missed that class at school.
But he's never been to a class to do with agriculture, never been to a class to do with agricultural development of any kind, animals or otherwise. Why don't you just stick to what you know? You never went involved with pharmaceutical drugs, but you're dealing with pharmaceutical drugs and pharmaceutical industries, and it's purely on a money-making perspective. That is all that it is. He knows nothing about what he speaks, and he's just hell-bent. And I must say, not very high on my agenda.
No, he's obviously, you know, money's his god, and that will be his downfall eventually. But what a shame he's not using the money he's obviously very clever to make. What a shame he doesn't use it for good rather than the way he's using it.
Yes, and I'm happy to see the African countries beginning to push back, beginning to disconnect where he's concerned, you know, in terms of their food supply, their seed supply. There's no need for Africa to get seed from anybody. Africa is a massive country with a lot of production of wheat and other crops. They don't need anybody to get their seeds, and it's better to go that direction. Well, Sunny, thank you so very, very much. I really appreciate you having taken the time. I know we've been a bit longer, had you for a bit longer, and I'm so glad we did.
It's absolutely my pleasure. I really enjoyed talking to you, Dr. Ferdinand. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure of mine, and I've absolutely enjoyed sharing this time with you. It's been informative, eye-opening. You know, I've seen a number of things where the farmers and the people that you showed in the video have actually confirmed a lot of what we already did here in Barbados.
Yes.
You know, and they're fighting for it over there. And so why should we just roll over and allow something else to be introduced here? And I take your point. That it is difficult to find people who will represent the citizens of a country sincerely and honestly, because when they do try to do so, there are threats on their lives, and there's a lot of fear that it does exist. And I believe there are some people there, but they're not prepared to take the risks to do so. But, you know, but God, let me put it that way, but God. You know, so thank you so very much. Appreciate you being here. I look forward to you whenever you are able to, and whenever Marcia has you back to touch on that other subject that you mentioned, the whole aspect of the smart cities and 15-minute cities and so on, because that's something that we need to wake up about and be made aware of. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Wishing you a great, great night, and look forward to you being on the show again. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
God bless. Good night. God bless. Well, folk, I mean, you know, you've heard it. I mean, you've heard it, and I mean, what more can we say? That's what the Marcy Week show is about: to educate, to agitate. I can't remember exactly how she puts everything, you know. Educate, agitate, all these different things that she comes up with, you know. And I'm so glad that she actually facilitates information being shared with us. And we're looking forward to our next guest. I'm just waiting to see when they're coming to the green room, or what we would call our back room, to be a part of the of the show tonight. And we are certainly looking forward to that very shortly. But you've heard what has been expressed. There can be no question about it. You heard the people in the United Kingdom. You've heard the people in different parts of the world. You've heard the farmers expressing. You've heard the plan, the agenda. Our Prime Minister is a climate change poster girl. That's why she does not wear our flag, because she has surrendered our country to the World Health Organization. And I'm not here to debate whether you like Mr. Trump or not. That is of no interest whatsoever to me at this point. But I'm glad that the Trump administration has rejected the World Health Amendments, citing threats to sovereignty and free speech. What we need to hear and what we need to know is what is our government's position on matters of this nature. What does the Barbados government, what is the Barbados government's position on this matter? Are we buying into what the World Health Organization is selling? Have we bought into what the World Economic Forum as a government is selling? And clearly, as I mentioned before, people from the outside, the global elitists, those persons who are the wealthy, unelected individuals in the world, are determining the destiny of our countries. And it would appear to me that our government has bought into all of it. Hook, line, and sinker, I think is how they put it. I believe that's how it is put. Well, I see my next guest is in the green room, and I want to bring him in. This is Apostle LYNN SCANTLEBURY. And a pleasure to have you joining me tonight, Apostle. I don't get the opportunity to share the show with you. Mostly Marcia does, because she does so many more shows than I do.
That's true. Well, it's great to be here with you tonight, Rev, and it's good to see you. Haven't seen you in a little while, but it's great to see you here tonight.
Great to have you with us tonight again. I have been watching a number of the shows, your contribution on those shows from a global perspective, and I'm pleased to see that there are others who are doing and have done the research in terms of the global agendas and what is happening around us to see how it's beginning to impact our country. And I understand now tonight you're going to be taking, Marcia hasn't called it this, but I trust you won't mind me calling it the Chinese connection. If I can call it that, you know, the activities of China, and not only globally, but even within the context of Barbados. So the Loyal Opposition welcomes you again tonight to the Marcia Week Show.
Well, thank you so much again, Rev, and I'm really happy to be here tonight. I think we're gonna break some ground here tonight. I have a few things that I want to say about this whole aspect of the impact of China and China's relations, not only with the Caribbean leaders, but also what the global agenda is around the world. And I think that we have come to a place where, and I think I heard you saying it just before I came into the chat here tonight, that it seems as though our administration has bought on to so many different agendas and so many different conventions, have signed off on so many things that the public here in Barbados are completely unaware to all of these global elitists, as you said, individuals that are not elected, but they are controlling governments. And I think what I'm seeing is that more and more people are waking up, but just a little slower than we would like. But I think that more and more as time passes, that more people are beginning to realize that something is absolutely wrong with our system of governance. Something is wrong with all of the elements that we're seeing happening here in Barbados that somehow seem to be connected to China. We're seeing even the buses that we're driving in, China aid, and you're asking yourself, why is it that so much money being, but we seem not to be able to purchase anything without China's help? And we have to look very seriously at that, because I believe it's going to spell great danger. It's going to spell great danger for Barbados going forward, especially if we get caught deeper in the net of debt, which I've realized has become the new seed of prosperity. Debt seems to be the new seed of how the larger nations get to dominate smaller nations. And unfortunately, we have a lot of political leaders that are not knowledgeable enough and not aware of the higher levels that are being levied on them, because their minds are smaller, than individuals who rule countries with billions of people. Barbados is still roughly about 283,000. We're not even at 500,000, so we're still a very, very small nation in terms of our population. And many times when you do not have the leverage of having to lead a mass group of people, your creativity is weakened. Okay, and I've seen that here in Barbados, where for years, other than schools and fixing roads, and probably building a new governmental structure or whatever, but there's never really any main infrastructure that says to the people of the world, listen, we are an evolving nation, and this is why I think it's very critical for us to look into this element here of the Chinese connection. And what I want to share here quickly tonight on the show is my studies of what I call the global perspective, and then also the element of where China fits into the global spiritual arena, because I think there's something about China that we do not understand, and I want to look into this, because it is very, very important that as individuals living in Barbados, can't really talk about Jamaica and all the other countries who are themselves finding that open door from China to fall into that pit. But I want to just say a few things here from my own personal studying of nations and elements of biblical history, and bring these to fore so that we can bring in a greater cosmology in the consciousness of people going forward. Now, I have come to an understanding, and you're a spiritual man like myself, I've come to the understanding that all nations of the world, all of them exist because of a higher spiritual power. I believe that nothing can exist physically unless there is a spiritual component to it. That's my personal belief. I follow this because I read in the book of Daniel where when he was in Persia, that an angel of the Lord was sent to him. And when that angel eventually got to Daniel, he told Daniel that he was held up for 21 days by the demonic principality. The Bible refers to that entity as the Prince of Persia. Okay, so we understand that the Persian Empire in the physical nature was governed by a spiritual principality over that nation. And so I believe that in order to really bring change in nations, there must be a shifting, there must be a removal of the spiritual component that is over that nation. Now, when I begin to study using that formula when it comes to China, I started to discover some very, very serious elements about a structure. And I want to deal with the fact that I don't know if our administration understands this, but China pretends to be communist. Okay. Now, from what I understand, when you're dealing with a communist mentality or a communist structure, the wealth and all of the elements that makes up government, all of these things are supposed to be common and spread freely among the masses. Okay, so if I were to take that, Reverend Ferdinand, and I would go into the Bible and I would read in the book of Acts that the early church, and this is where I'm going to make my statement, the early church was particularly communist. Okay, because they had everything common. According to what we read in the book of Acts, no man said that what he owned was exclusively his, but everything was to be used and shared among all. Those who had land, who had houses, who had goods, sold them and brought the money, laid it at the apostles' feet. Distribution was made according to those who had needs. So we had the church where wealth was not only accumulated, it was spread freely. Okay, and the text is clear. They had all things, Reverend. They had all things common. Now, what I've seen from China is that initially, from my studying, China had that system where wealth was shared before they went into their own civil wars. But now, instead of the wealth being shared, they've now adopted an elitist mentality where there are a few people at the top that the money is flowing to, and the money seems to stay in that level. Beyond that, what they have found out also is that in spite of all the other countries of the world that had what we call world dominance, like England, like Rome, like America, okay, like the Spaniards, like the Portuguese, like the French, China has never been a world dominating country. And now in our day, China has finally made its decision to be in every country around the world, to finally have world domination. And unfortunately, we have leaders in the Caribbean that cannot see through that. So they have the expertise, they have the resources, they have the money, they have the technology. They basically have everything in place right now to do what they're doing. Now, if you look at the concept of how easy is it for China to make money, and I'll just use one area out of all that I've studied in terms of the landscape, the fact that they have great history, great architecture. But Rev, the last time that I read about their tourism element and the Great Wall of China, they said that there's about 10 million people who visit the Great Wall of China every year. 10 million people who visit the Great Wall of China every year. Now, Rev, if I were to say, listen, let's suggest that each one of those individuals on an average there in China spends $100 maximum. Okay, $100. Each of the 10 million spends $100. We're already sitting on $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
We're already sitting on $1 billion. So, and that's just visitors to the Great Wall of China. That's humongous. Now, when you look at Barbados, I think they said Barbados on a yearly basis, we're averaging between 500,000 to 700,000 visitors in a year. When you compare 700,000 to 10 million, that is a huge difference. So on a financial level, China is able to accumulate wealth so rapidly outside of the industry and outside of all the other political levels that they're operating in. They can accumulate wealth so easily than Barbados can. But the reality is we have a nation of, we say sea, sun, and fun. But the reality is that we do not have any infrastructural elements that wants people or makes people come to Barbados. I mean, I can say something as simple as a Coney Island, a theme park. We don't even have that as a nation. So when you look at the reality of the spiritual element behind China and why the leaders of China are able to do what they're doing, we have to understand that there's something higher and there's something greater that is fueling the leadership of China. And if we are not careful as individuals here in Barbados, we're going to wake up one morning and we're going to find out how much of Barbados has been given to the Chinese, how much of Barbados they control, and we will have our quietness and our ignorance to blame for not making sure that our administration is open and transparent enough to let us know exactly what is going on with Barbados. This is a very, 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 very serious level. And I think we have to come to the place where we begin to ask the critical questions and we take concise and decisive action right now to be in the knowing of where our island is, what's actually going on, what is the agreements that our administration has made with China at this moment.
When we see what's happening, in the Scotland district, with their activity in that part of the island, and what we saw happen, Apostle, in I think it was Antigua,
Yes.
Antigua, where again coming in under the guise of economic assistance and so on, China now. I hesitate to say own because I can't verify that from a governmental level, but certainly have dominance over a significant portion of property in Antigua, to the point where it raised concerns on a regional level. I saw that expressed on a regional level by some of the agitators, if you want, activists, if you want to call them that. I don't know how many Barbadians are aware of the fact that Jamaica lost control of its major port in Jamaica to the Chinese. Uganda, and I'm specifically targeting African or Black countries, where we know there is a significant racist element. I mean, this is not conspiracy. This is not hearsay. In Africa, China is simply looking to control, and they will tolerate Africans as long as they control. But we've seen Africa beginning to push back as well, have we not? And seen them beginning to evict Chinese out of their areas.
Okay. Well, I think that is a great move, because I understand from my studying of the Word of God and also from paying attention to what's going on internationally, you can see that China is on its way to global domination.
Yes. You
can see that. I mean, they want to have a foothold in every part of the world, and they want to control what's happening. And unfortunately, I don't think that we have the kind of leadership that's ready to break that hole if it ever comes on Barbados. I've seen, you know, on the Scotland district, what they're doing there, on the road there on the East Coast. And I understand the area of why many times the government would not employ construction companies here in Barbados because of the level of corruption that we've seen over the years, and the fact that, you know, you give them a contract to do a road, and then you have to go back to Parliament, and you're getting all of these overruns. When the Chinese will come in, they'll tell you we'll have it done by a certain time. This is what it's going to take, and many times the Chinese have it done without, you know, without an overrun, and sometimes they have it done under the already established budget, and I can understand that. But at the same time, when you're looking at the fact that where they are allowed to set up what they would call their base for the employees, it's key property, I mean prime property, that in my opinion, if you can give that to the Chinese to set up housing for their employees, that obviously could have been land that could have been used to build houses for Barbadians. Okay, because I know from, you know, paying attention to what is happening, all of these areas are key, you know, areas here in Barbados that, if given the opportunity, and especially there in St. Lucie, St. Thomas, there in St. Andrew, I mean, that's key property. I mean, prime property for individuals who wanted to get into some other level of farming or, you know, housing. That could have been given to them. But it seems like, as you said, there are deals that have been made that we don't know about. And so when these things occur, it is almost like, yeah, well, I know you all may have a problem with it, but this is already in the pipeline. This is what we already agreed on. So you basically don't have to live with it. And I don't think that that type of activity, that type of governmental system is fair to the people of Barbados.
Well, you know, you did mention something that caught my attention as you were speaking. This administration campaigned on both elections, 2018 and 2022, on what I consider to be three fundamental planks. One had to do with crime, which they were highly critical of the previous administration regarding. One had to do with transparency, and one had to do with accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned something about the agreements. What is enshrined? What is contained? Because I observed that whenever China is engaging anything in Barbados, there is not a single Barbadian worker on site. Not one. The Barbadian input is the delivery of cement or the delivery of hardware or something of that sort. Yeah. But I have looked. I stand to be corrected. If any of you on the chat here know, I stand to be corrected, because at last I checked, I'm not God, and as a result of that, I don't know everything. And I could be wrong. But when I pass facilities where the Chinese are involved, I don't see a single Barbadian worker. And then in addition to that, I'm seeing a number of businesses appearing in Barbados that are Chinese businesses. Now, to a large degree, Apostle, I'm used to this out of Trinidad. You know, you're going to Trinidad, and right now, you know, I was just there, and the Trinidadians talked to me about the control of Trinidad by the Indians, the Chinese, the Muslims, and the Hindus.
Okay.
That they're controlling, really, you know, like the 1% that you would hear them talk about in America is that's the 1% in Trinidad. But I look around here and I see all kinds of businesses being set up when our people are struggling to a large degree to set a business up in Barbados.
Yeah, I'll have to ask, you know, because it is so difficult, you know, I had a youngster came to me and wanted to open a bank account here in Barbados, and they asked him for a TAMIS number. You know, a student that wanted to open an account. And so they've made it so hard for locals to have the basics done. And you have to ask, what are the parameters for Chinese businesses to be so easily open in Barbados? You know, and when you're looking at this over and over, you're wondering, why are things becoming so difficult in Barbados? You know, why is our garbage cans coming from China? Why are the barcodes on them? You know, why are our buses, when you're borrowing money, why are our buses bought free and clear? Why are you borrowing money and still the buses are a part of China's package to you? If you've got to stop and ask yourself these questions. It's just outrageous to believe that you just borrowed 70 million, 75 million, and 30 buses. You still have to have aid from China to buy 30 buses, and that's disturbing. That is absolutely disturbing that this is what we're dealing with at the moment. So,
yes.
You know, unfortunately, again, we and as you said, the people who used to agitate are seem to be silent, seem to have been worn out. But you know, those of us who are continuing to, you know, push this script to the administration, to this government, and say to them, listen, we have questions for you, and we need answers. We need answers.
Teo, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, raises the question here: are the Chinese breaking any Barbados laws when their businesses are set up? Well, we don't know, because there's so much that happens in Barbados under the table. And look, I know what I'm talking about, you know. I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about under the table, because I've had funding opportunities for the Barbados government, and I know what I was told, that unless I was putting money in the pockets of certain individuals, that the funding would not be accepted. And because I didn't put money in the pockets of individuals, the funding was never forthcoming for the Barbados government. But the questions, we know that there's a two-tier justice system in this country. We know this. We know that there are people here, depending on who you know, you can get all kinds of things set up in Barbados, break any laws, and not pay the consequences. So it would be difficult for us to answer that question, Theo, because we don't know what backroom agreements have been made. Even as you mentioned, Apostle, in terms of the agreements, I have noticed, and I am not going to say that I am jealous or disappointed, but I've noticed a lot of Chinese vehicular business being set up in Barbados, a lot. Now, their product, I appreciate the fact their product is cheaper. It is a known fact that build quality cannot compare to either the Japanese, Germans, Americans, or British. That is a known fact.
Yes.
And I have been cautioned by persons to be very careful, because these are vehicles that have not yet proven themselves within the context of our climatic environment.
Exactly.
And I want to remind people that whenever you're dealing with an electric vehicle, you are dealing with a lithium battery. And our government has not yet told us how we are going to dispose of the lithium batteries that are coming predominantly in Chinese vehicles, predominantly.
Great point.
When it comes to our environmental conditions. They don't last forever.
No.
They don't last forever.
No.
Well, Apostle,
I've heard,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've heard of one person who had a situation with their battery. The battery is pretty much $35,000.
I chuckle because that's probably a small one.
Yeah,
that's probably a small battery.
I said, okay, yeah. So we're looking at these elements, and You know, even with the buses, people will say, "Oh, they're beautiful," but they're not tailored to the terrain of Barbados, and that's the thing that they have to understand. You don't just go and buy a bus. You got to study your terrain. You got to understand you're living in a tropical climate. You're going to have heavy rainfall. These buses are leaking when there's heavy rainfall.
And I'll tell you this, Apostle, you do not want water, particularly water that carries contaminants, to come into contact with a lithium battery.
Exactly.
You don't.
Exactly. So who's sitting and doing the infrastructural studies on, you know, the purchase of these buses? Who's doing it? Or is it just, you know, political gimmickry? Or is it, again, you've signed on to an agreement and you have to do this? This is all part of the plan going forward. So again, when we have individuals who are open-minded and they understand, listen, we have these folk who are moving towards their global agenda. It is not a global agenda. It is the Chinese global agenda to dominate the world. Okay?
Yes.
And we've got to make sure that we do not allow ourselves to go any deeper into the trap that other Caribbean islands have found themselves in. And this is where the people of Barbados must begin to ask the critical questions, because we need to know where we stand before we wake up one morning and realize that everything has been taken from us, or possibly the key elements have been taken from us because of some bad agreement that's been made between our government and the Chinese.
Yes. Well, Apostle, I want to thank you for taking the time to be in on the show tonight. I trust that we can do another one with you, that we can take a little peep into the spiritual aspect of that movement of the Chinese government. I know it's not a religious show, but there are aspects within that realm that are establishing themselves in our country, and I believe we need to be enlightened about it. Not that we necessarily have to go into the whole spiritualizing of the matter, but I think we need to be mindful of how that is affecting us as a country, and how it's actually creating the platform for them to be able to establish themselves here in Barbados.
Yes, sir.
And you quite rightly pointed to the experience of Daniel with the Prince of Persia. I've always said to people, every country has a strong man.
Yes, sir.
Every country has a strong man. It's up to us to find out who he is and to deal with it. Okay.
That's correct. That's correct, sir.
So thank you, sir. Appreciate you taking the time, and
You're welcome.
we look forward to you being back again with us. I don't know if you're on a Monday, you'll share it with me. Apart from that, it'll be Marcia. I happen to be lucky, if you want to call it that, to be on the show tonight, because she had a couple of other very critical engagements. But certainly it was a pleasure to have you on with us tonight.
Well, a pleasure being here, and a pleasure seeing you again. My regards to your family, and
thank you so
forward
much.
to being on the show later again.
Great. God bless. Really wonderful to have had you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, folk, we are moving along smoothly and quickly into our next segment. As you know, we're coming up to the KADOOMENT time in Barbados. And okay, Dave, I'll come to that in just a second. We're coming up to the KADOOMENT time in Barbados, and we'll be having an interview here and a discussion with the WALKHOLY band grouping and the WALKHOLY group. And in a few moments, Dave has put up that GoFundMe page. Again, thank you so very much, Dave. I really appreciate you and Marcia giving us the support that you have. Again, for those of you who may be joining us late, my wife has a life-threatening situation that she's dealing with. Regrettably, there's no support in terms of the equipment on island to address her situation, and we have to travel overseas, in this instance to the Cayman Islands. and to Health City there, and it's a significant sum. I believe somewhere in the ballpark of $70,000 or $75,000 to cover all of the operations she has to do, all of the consultations, physicians, transportation, accommodations. They want her to stay for a couple of months to ensure that after the operation that everything is done, there are no complications and so on. And so that image you have there is our GoFundMe page, where we are trying to raise the funds to look after her health and to help to preserve her wife, my wife. Or you can tell really if you see my children where the beauty and everything comes from. It really comes from her. All right, but a great woman of God, a tremendous woman of faith. And we want to thank, I particularly want to thank my son for setting this up. He's done a tremendous job for us. We've appreciated his input, and he's managing the page for us. And we're thankful to God for our children who are able to do these types of things. So thank you so very much. Whatever you can do, as I said, if you are interested in contributing or assisting, you can donate on the GoFundMe page. If you wish to do something here locally on island, we do have an account here to facilitate that. And all you need to do is in the facility on the page to send a message, which my son will receive, and he will provide you directly with the information to do with the account. And that is to avoid any aspects of scamming or hijacking. Hacking, I think is what they call it, to prevent that. Alice, you're asking how do we contribute? Well, you just go to the page and click on the donate. You can put your name if you wish, or you can put anonymous, and you can do, I'm not sure exactly how that works. You can do it there. But like I said, if you want to do it to the account here on island, all you need to do is to send, there's an area on the page where you can send my son a message, and he will send on a direct email to you the account information, that you can do it here on island as well. All right. So we want to thank all of you for your support. And most of all, we want to thank you for your prayers. Well, we want to moving to the closing segment of the night. And this is dealing with, this is dealing with the WALKHOLY initiative for this KADOOMENT season. And we are going to watch a video first on this, and then we'll be engaging some of the organizers in terms of those persons who help to manage the whole WALKHOLY experience. All right, well, over to you, Dave, for that video, my friend.
Whoa, yeah, it's a die. Lost and was hungry, Jesus came and found me. Bread of life he fed me, from the wilderness he led me. So you shall be blessed from head to toe. Thank you, Jesus. Your cup shall be filled and overflow. Thank you, Jesus. And all that was lost has been restored. Thank you, Jesus. And you shall rejoice forevermore. More than enough, my Jesus, more than enough, more than enough for me. More than enough, my Jesus, more than enough. Came and he set me free. More than enough, my Jesus, more than enough, more than enough for me. More than enough, my Jesus, more than enough. All who feeling hopeless, all who feeling worthless, God send me to confess. In Jesus' name you are blessed. The Father has plans to prosper you. Thank you, Jesus. No matter the
Well, I tell you, that is the first ad, I believe, of the WALKHOLY for this year. We have with us Kathy Weeks, Ms. Cassie Weeks. Good to have you on the show. And welcome. The Loyal Opposition welcomes you to the Marcia Weeks show. I believe Dave is going to be following up with another video. He let me know just as he's ready for that. He just needs a little time to make that switch over. Think he might be ready with it now. Okay, here we go.
Join the WALKHOLY KADOOMENT band as they gather the patriots of the nation to free ourselves from the spirit of colonialism and declare Barbados a nation loyal to the sovereign God. For 23 consistent years, WALKHOLY has ministered in the streets on KADOOMENT Day with live worship, care packages, and tract distribution, and have won the hearts of many Barbadians who line the streets and who watch us from their homes. Join us, ye loyal sons and daughters, as we continue to war for the destiny of our nation. For over 300 years, the Lord has been the people's guide, and we, the people from all walks of life and professions, rally in unity to declare loyalty to Him, the sovereign God. WALKHOLY declares, Barbados belongs to God. Join us by WhatsApping or calling 246-245-0396 or 246-236-7000, or email us at walkholybds@yahoo.com, or search for us on Facebook at WALKHOLY Barbados. Come, let me go.
Young children must be prepared to fight the daily. Get yourself in here. Salvation is to share with this chorus in the air. Keep on walking. God is holy. Many children. Walk holy. Many children. Walk holy. Come again.
Well, I tell you, WALKHOLY, I enjoyed sharing some time, Kathy, with the band and with the band. I think I was in it just 1 year. I see your colleague, I believe Patricia Cox, is here with us. So let me bring her in. Good evening, Patricia. I'm not used to seeing you looking like that, but that's okay. We Welcome, Patricia. Welcome to the show tonight. Are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, wonderful, great. Well, tell us, between you and Kathy, tell us a little bit about the plans for this year in terms of what we can look forward to coming out of the WALKHOLY band this year.
Well, it is, as usual, very excited. And the theme for this year is Gathering of the Patriots.
Gathering
of the Patriots.
Of the Patriots. So you're gathering too. Okay.
Yes. Well, this is a different form of gathering.
Yes, different gathering.
Correct.
Okay.
No, the Patriots will suggest guardians. Guardians of something special, something unique. And it would also suggest that they have knowledge of the past and are present with us today to see what's going on today, to help us in terms of what we would have had in the past and what we have today in the direction that we need to go in. I see them as being connected to God as well, so that they can have that sense of right and wrong, good and bad, to be able to direct us, because we do need that spiritual guidance as a nation. And WALKHOLY serves as a spiritual guide, both in terms of the message, in terms of how we celebrate our culture, the type of music, I would say, as well, which includes lyrics that we want to shape and have our culture shaped accordingly. So for this year, the theme, Gathering of the Patriots, as we would have heard continually, and it's being spoken just about everywhere, we are free from slavery, but not mental slavery. Now, to give a short synopsis of the message itself, is that section 1 is like being governed by the colonial mindset, where we have a float. I don't want to talk out too much. I want to have a little something for the day. And they're going to be guiding Barbados along that type of mindset, even though they will be looking quite like Barbadian. Yet that's not the way that they're going to be leading us. So the Patriots are going to be recognizing the direction that they're taking and the turmoil that is going to be coming out of that direction that is going to be taken. and they're going to come and say, no, no, we can't have none of that. But then the second section, which they will introduce, has to do with people like you and me.
Okay.
We have been educated. We've been sent to school. We've graduated. We've come up with degrees, skill, all types of things that can promote and build Barbados. So we can't afford to ignore that, as sometimes is the case. So Section 2 is a coming together of all Barbados to take governance of this nation, Barbados, to lead it in the direction that best suits us. We are going to be utilizing, of course, our national colors. And yes, I want to say, if anyone out there of the loyal opposition want to be a part of the band, they can call 245-0396 to register. Now, as we will know, some costume calls all up in $1,000 and such like that. We kind of subsidize our costumes because we know that the ordinary citizen really can't afford the type of prices that a costume would take to produce. So for a donation, that's all we're asking, a donation that suits your pocket. You can be a part of the band.
And this is, could you repeat the number again? Is that 245-0396?
Correct.
Right, and you call that to register for the band. And where can the costumes, obviously there are different types of costumes. And is there any place the costumes, the different designs and so on can be seen?
I'm not sure if they're on the Facebook pages yet, but we do have a Facebook page, WALKHOLY Barbados. If they're not up as yet, they will be up soon so that you can see the type of designs that we are offering this year. And I also want to say that in the two sections, there are individuals, and these individuals will take the center stage to everybody else because it's about the message. These individuals embody the different areas that we are highlighting. For instance, for the colonials, you're going to have that individual looking rather colonialist. And because it is we have likened Barbados to a boat, they are going to be like a sail, a captain of a boat. For the second section, we have a Mr. Barbados and a Miss Barbados. They are going to be beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely stunning. Because they represent all of us. They embody all of us.
I remember the last time I was on the truck with the band. I remember starting on the, well, I don't know what they call it, no, Pelican Drive or what, I can't remember what they call it, but I think the truck started somewhere down there. And obviously, if you're going to have a band, you're going to have music. So, and we're going to have a number of different artists, I would believe, that would be leading the charge, so to speak, in terms of music. Before we actually get to the music, do you know the route that they're going to be using this year?
The route is similar to what they used last year. They said that they have amended some of the issues that all the issues that they encountered last year. So we're hoping that it's going to be smoother in terms of flow.
Okay.
But it's the same route as last year. And yes, we are going to be moving from down in the Pelican area. And we are going to be moving off at 8:30 as scheduled by the NCF.
Right. And now I hope I'm not exposing anything here, but would you be able to give us a sneak peek into the different artists, maybe, or bands or whatever that will be highlighted this time on the truck?
But I want to say for that, we are the only, I put my neck up there, band, band that would have live music. We always have live music.
Okay, wow.
There's Sean Apache Carter. James Leacock is also supposed to be there. Sammy Jane. And that's as much as I will say at the moment. And as you saw in the video and the ad earlier, Sammy Jane was actually there singing.
Yes,
as
yes.
well as Raven King, what's his name again? The guy from Trinidad, forgot his name, Sean Daniels.
Sean Daniel, yes.
Yes. And they were very well received. When they got on the road, because we had never done that before. When they actually got on the road to engage the people, it's like, yes, it touched the people more. We got a little closer to the people. We were able to minister closer to them. And the thing is, right, that someone from the NCF, let me put it that way, said to one of our members, y'all need to pray more. We need to pray more. And we need to pray for the safety of the people on the road. Now, since last year, there were several persons that were asking us to pray for them, for their safety, for the band, for the safety of the other bands that were coming behind us.
Okay.
Right? And it was like, wow, they're now actually not only recognizing that we play a critical role in the festival, but they're now engaging us in terms of wanting us to pray for them and stuff like that. So there's an acknowledgement of what we bring to the table.
Yes. I do remember being on the truck and praying at some of the junctures. I think around by the Eagle Hall area was one, and a little further down along Black Rock, I think, was another. And that route I remember us taking, going across the harbor out to Eagle Hall, and I think then down Black Rock, all the way down to the junction by the bottom of the University Hill, and I think then turning and coming back up Spring Garden Highway, and then into Kensington. Am I right? Is it ending there again?
Yes. The thing is, what you said was correct in that we stop at critical areas by the police station, by the district, by the hospital, mental hospital, and schools even, and churches, and we stop and we pray. We pray for the institution that we stop close to. I also want to say that it being for, I think it's since just before COVID time or before COVID, I think it's before COVID. Yes, it was before COVID. We started to give out care packages. There's those at the back, the vehicle at the back would have all those packages, and we would give out to the audience. The thing is that even during COVID, we were the only band on the road. We weren't dressed in costume, but we had police provision, and we went and we gave out care packages during COVID as well, because people are in need of support.
Desperate, yes, desperately.
And the last 2 years or so, we see even men come in, and that was great because generally we see the women come in, but we saw men as well coming to get some of these packages.
Yes,
and they would have items for the children for back to school. It would also have food stuff and you know, general care stuff for the body, for the hair, bathing and stuff like that. And these are usually donated. They we either receive money to go and do the purchasing ourselves, or the companies would donate items that we can give away. So if there's anyone of the loyal opposition that wants to support us in this manner, you're free to do so. It's called the same number. You can either send cash or kind. It doesn't matter. But the fact that we support the individuals alongside the road, we give them, and it is really, really, really tremendous. It really makes a difference. We don't just go and say we're having a party, we jump up and all that. Our presence make a difference. We carry the light of God, and we carry the message of God's love to the people all the people that we meet alongside the road, whether they're young, old, and sometimes when we see the individual members of other bands passing, even them as well.
Wow. Well, you know, I see Pat is in the house, and I remember, I can't remember if it was last year or when I was there. I remember this lady is so high energy. You know, I don't know how she manages, because she's a dancer. Am I right? Am I right, Kathy? She's one of the dancers.
Oh, are they going? This is you in
Yes,
the house?
there she is. There
Yes,
she
she
is.
is. Yes.
Yes, yes. Pat, it's so good to have you with us tonight. And you know, what are you anticipating in terms of the band this year? You're muted. Let me see if I can unmute your mic for you, or you
Hear me
might
now?
have to unmute it. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Yes, loud and clear.
yes.
Yes.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here. This year our theme is different. It is new, so we are embracing it. Costumes are lovely, as Kathy said. So we want people to come out and wear a costume, get involved. From you know, you don't have to be in a church. You know, it's going to come out once you see the need and you can identify what we are saying and doing, and you want to be part of the band. Come and get a costume. We have fun on the road. We dance on the road. We actually have choreography on the road, or we make it up on the road as we go, and we worship. It is worship. It's worship on the
Yes.
road. We got the revelry. It is awesome. We're the first band out, so we don't see any other bands behind us. And the police and our marshals, they are very good with us. You know, we don't give it any trouble, so we are going to be good. And it's a safe place to be in. It's a safe band to be in. So all are welcome. And we want people just to get involved in it. Oh yes, those costumes there are lovely from
Yeah,
last year.
beautiful,
And this year,
colorful. My goodness.
yes. And this year they're going to be lovely as well. I am the flag person. So yeah, I
Uh-huh.
have to have energy. I have to have some energy to encourage others as
Well,
well. Oh yeah,
well, I
you know, to get all hype up because we get tired on the road. So you gotta hype people up. I too have to hype up myself to get out there and you know and do it as well. But when we all come together, it is fun, it is energy, it is worship, free to worship. And what I must say too, people actually look for us. We are a staple in Propover. We have made our mark, we have stood the test of time, regardless of what people would have said. We have stood our ground and people respect that. And they
yes,
always
yes.
ask, hey, on the road this year, you're all coming out this year. They look for us on the road. If we're not there, something is wrong.
Well, you know,
So
it's
Barbados, they look for us on television. On the road, they look for
uh-huh.
us.
You know, it's interesting because one of the things that the Word of God tells us as Christians is, or should I say, two of the things that the Word of God tells us as Christians is that we are the light of the world and we are the salt of
Mm-hmm.
the earth. And you know,
Yes.
and if the salt has lost its savor, if the salt has lost its influence and its impact, and I've always understood that for salt to be of any value, it has to get into the preservative value. That
Involved.
is, it
Yes.
has to get into the
Yes.
meat. You know,
Correct.
you can't
Exactly.
just throw it there and leave it. You know, you have to massage it, I call it, into the meat and so on.
Yes.
And I find that one of the things that I've had a challenge with over the years is the and I call it the lack of respect for the different types of ministries that the church is engaged in. You know, not everybody is in worship on a platform. There's some people that God has called to perform in the manner that you guys are going to be doing in another week's time or thereabout. How do you feel about that aspect in terms of either support or lack of it?
Well,
Okay, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Kathy.
Okay. Well, that's if you don't, I try to be
You try to be diplomatic.
yes. The thing about it that if you cannot respect a ministry, people who have proven themselves to be committed to God. And you
Yes.
cannot respect what they're doing. It tells me there's a lack of maturity.
Okay. I like
A
that.
lack
Yeah.
of
A lack of
maturity
maturity.
and knowledge of God, because God is not in a box,
Mm-hmm.
and He will do what He wants to do. And the thing about it is that where we were before we became Christians, God had to find us there.
Yes. Yes.
Somebody had
Yes,
to come and get
it's true.
us.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the other people. There are some places that God need to go and get them from that place, wherever they are, whether they are on the streets, whether they're in a mosque, whether no matter where they are, God is always represented everywhere. So we should honor and respect what God is doing. Even if we don't understand, pray.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you're so right. You know, you can't box him in. He has a variety of ways of dealing with things, and he always seems to meet people at the point of their need and at the place of their physical existence. He doesn't wait for them to come into a specific space, but he actually goes out through us and touches the people's lives. And I've
Correct.
always observed that really from the time Marcia started the Walk Holy experience. I remember it starting out from the National Stadium
Mm-hmm.
many years ago. How many years has it been going now?
Yes, many years. It's
23,
22, 23.
23
Yeah,
years now.
23
yes.
years.
Yes.
And you've
23
been here
years.
from the inception.
Yes. And that is great. You know, that speaks of a commitment and a dedication and faithfulness. Now, just a couple of other
It,
quick,
it
just
speaks to the obedience to God.
obediences as well.
First of
Yes,
all.
which is critical,
And
which is
I
absolutely
want to
critical.
also say that we complain a lot about what we represent or what is now being represented as culture. We complain about it. Now we the WALKHOLY band is actually doing something about it. It's just a
Yes, yes,
small little portion, but we're doing something
Yeah.
about it.
yes,
Which
yes.
is making
And
an impact.
And that's so important, you know. We talk about faith. I think it was the Apostle James that said, "If you say you have faith, then show me your faith by your works."
Correct.
And I really want to encourage people to pay attention to this area, get involved, because you can't continue to criticize and talk if you're not contributing to a solution. And in order to contribute to that solution, if this is something that you know you feel called to do, well, again, I think, Dave, you can put that number back up for us again. Let me just see if I can locate
I
it
want to
here.
say something to the picture that's here, though. This is
Yes.
this is where we are here organizing the different care packages. We're organizing what was given and putting them in order so that we can give them out. And if you want to help in terms of arranging and helping us organize that, you can also call the same number and we will let you know when and where to come.
Right. And that's 2450396, right?
Correct. Correct.
Wonderful. Well,
Yes.
any closing words from either one of you to the loyal opposition and to the people that will be watching this video in the days to come?
Yes, I just want to encourage everyone to come again. And at this time, people, different churches and stuff, they go off and they do their thing to get away from crop over and all that. But I am here saying I'm glad that Jesus did not do that to us. He didn't go off with just those who were about him and go off in the wilderness and stay there. He got people, he went for us, he mingled with people to bring them in. That's what WALKHOLY, that's what we do. We don't just stay away. We get involved in crop over. It's a national festival. It marks Barbados. Why would God not be involved in it? Why would we not want God to be involved in a national that marks your country as very significant? And years ago, I remember crop over as giving thanks for a crop. I remember from a little girl giving at those factory. They used to hear the king and queen of the crop and they give thanks. Given what was happening now, just the revelry and all the effects and everything, there's no respect, there's no reverence. So WALKHOLY is injecting God back into the
Yes. Back
festival,
into the festival.
into this crop over, and we're giving him thanks on the road. Why would we not do that? People want the
Wonderful.
benefit, but they don't want to put in the work. They want to do what they want to do, then just want God to bless them. But Walk Holy is committed and we're obedient to what God wants us to do. And we wish people will come on board and just give God thanks. That's what it really is. We're giving God thanks. We're not shying away. We're embracing God, embracing the people, embracing our country and our festival and our culture. We're putting back our culture back into the culture, into the country.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to
Absolutely.
come. We have the numbers there. We are at Praise Academy. We have the numbers there. Call and see when we are. And we look forward to seeing all of you, loyal opposition, and all those who are out there that want to come and be a part of what for this year. We welcome you.
Wow, great, wonderful, Patricia. And you mentioned culture, a gathering of the belief systems of the people. I think is how it's often defined. The official definition of culture has to do with the belief systems of the people of a nation or city or wherever they are. So it's so important for us to engage that. Well, Kathy, any closing comments you have, my dear?
Yes, I also want to say, if for the loyal opposition, if you think that you cannot make it on the road, couple of things. We would have water and drink on the road, so you don't have to worry about that. We would also have a van on the road in case you get tired and you want to take a rest. You can go and take a rest and we wait inside, we come back again. And also, if you think that you can't make it when you don't want to come, but you want to support someone, you can also do that. You can contribute towards their costume.
Wonderful. And again, too, you don't necessarily have to do the entire route, folk. You can pick a segment of the route and do it if you want to start off and do the first portion, or you can select a segment where you can join and, you don't have to go all the way through. That's fine, and there's a lot that happens during that time. I remember some years ago, there used to be also the times of praying on the street. I believe there were some tents and so on too that were set up along the street back then. I don't know what they do this time, but Barbados, there it is. Walk Holy Barbados brings worship to, let me see here, to the sovereign God of justice. And boy, do we need that in Barbados. Yes, we need that in Barbados. Well, hopefully I'll be able to join you. I hope I can sustain myself through that. Of course, that's if I'm here. We have, like I said, we've had to deal with a very critical situation in Trinidad where a very close friend of ours was murdered a couple of weeks ago, and we're still helping the family there in terms of emotionally and so on. So hopefully I will be here. But we certainly will be looking forward to seeing you and seeing you lead out. And that's one of the things that I've always felt, that the Walk Holy Band sets the tone for the entire festival. And I'm glad to say that that's no longer in the hands of a band that has no respect for the sovereign God. So thank you both very much.
I just want to say one small thing. Patricia had mentioned about the king and queen and such, and the actual, spectacle which we are seeming to be losing. And this is what the festival was all about. Festival was all about the spectacle, that type of spectacle. And I just remembered Carol, the announcer song.
Yes.
Happy Carol over.
Yes.
And we can't have it. We cannot have it. We must retain what made us in terms of our culture, in terms of our love. So please come out and help us to retain that.
Make that a reality.
To make sure that is what we hold on to, and that is what we pass on to those coming after us.
Well, this is August the 4th, 2025. And I'm looking here to join the Walk Holy. Can you make that a little bigger? You can make that a little bigger, Dave, that we can read just the information. This scroll up. To join Walk Holy, 245-0396. Have I got that? Or you can call on WhatsApp and they'll be happy to direct you to where you can obtain your costume, the different types and the prices and so on. And if you think you have a voice, you never know. You might just be able to help lead some of that worship and music on the truck. So we look forward to you joining together with Walk Holy, those of you here in the loyal opposition, so that we can have a incident-free. We want to set the tone, an incident-free and a tremendous time on August the 4th. Well, thank you, ladies. Appreciate you so much taking the time and coming in tonight to talk about it. I'm pretty sure that you might be back yet again in one of the other shows. Today is what, Friday the 25th of July. So we still have a few shows before we actually get to August the 4th. And so you might very well find yourself back again with regards to this. So thank you so much for being with us. God
Thanks for
bless
having
you.
us on.
Thank you
God
very
bless
much.
you too.
God bless you. Have a great night. Well, there you have it, folk. This is the Walk Holy band, and Dave is going to put up a flyer here again for me as well, because this coming Sunday, the Speak Life. This is the Praise Academy of Dance in Barbados. Will be presenting Speak Life. The Speak Life, a bold and emotional production that explores the young person's struggle with gender identity. And so we're looking forward to that show upcoming this Sunday evening, July the 27th, 6 p.m. at the People's Cathedral. And I understand entry will be free. I trust you can get that up, Dave, for me, that we can. There we go. The show starts at 6 p.m. I want to encourage you to get to this show and make it a must on Sunday evening. My granddaughter is going to be involved in it. I'm not going to tell you what role she'll be playing, but I'm sure you will be able to find out when the entire production begins. So it's backed by popular demand. Praise Academy of Dance in Barbados. Speak Life, a bold and emotional production exploring a young person's struggle with gender identity, family, and mental health. This coming Sunday, July the 27th at 6 p.m. at the People's Cathedral. All are welcomed. Entry is free. So come and witness the story that's been touching hearts and changing lives. And let's speak life over this generation. And let us see why we need to give them our support. These are our young people. They're not all bad. They're just a few bad apples, and they don't spoil the whole barrel. We can't let them spoil the whole barrel. So we look forward to seeing you at the People's Cathedral this coming Sunday, July 27th at 6 p.m. Speak Life. Well, folk, we've come to the end of the show tonight, and I want to thank all of you that joined us this evening on the Loyal Opposition. I appreciate your support so much. I'm happy to be back with you, happy to have been able to be available to fill in for Marcia tonight. I trust that you have enjoyed the show. It's been very educational, especially the segment that we shared with Sunny, and of course, again, with Apostle Scantlebury as well, in terms of the Chinese connection, what I call the Chinese connection. We thank God for all of this information, activation, information. Marcy's going to give that to me again, that I can roll it off my lips in that order, you know, in that way that she does. So we want to thank you so very much. I know Dave is going to be queuing up something to close with tonight, and we are going to be looking forward to that. We know Dave has always got something to share with us tonight. Again, thank you so very much for your support for my wife as she faces this challenge in her life. She's a wonderful person, beautiful girl, and we have been married now. I believe this would be 43 years. 43 years. And we have 3 kids, 6 grandchildren, and we are standing 100% with her, praying that the Lord will make the way for her to be fully restored to her health and her healing. If you wish to make contact with me, you can contact Marcia. 236-7000, I think, is the number, and she will be more than happy to direct you to me. If you wish to speak with me directly, that's fine. No problem. Just give her a call, 236-7000, and she'll be happy to direct you and make the connection for us. So I want to thank all of you for your support, not only for the GoFundMe, but the Pick of the Crop finals. When is that going to be? Just pull it up a little bit more for me there, Dave. Oh, it's a video. Okay. All right. We're going to see. Let's see what this is all about here then. The Pick of the Crop finals. Dave, go right ahead and run it.
Number 11. Hailing from the All-Stars called Good Night, Botanical Gardens.
Thank you all so much for being with us tonight. Good night, and God bless you.
Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. And we know that the taste must grow along with the wheat. To obey is better than to sacrifice. These were the sayings of the old folk to we day and night. But just look at how far we have come. We don't speak anymore, we talking with guns. The values we grow upon have now turned into hit and run. And I can't believe that this is what we've become. We always heard Barbados punched up of its weight. But is it an idle boast like the literacy rate? We like to declare that we are large and BC. But can we still claim to be gem of the Caribbean? Are we regressing through progressing as we watch our morals decay? Am I just stressing or are we compressing the realities that we face? It is interesting that we investing and small business in this array, and the cost of living is so depressing. But then again, that is the price that we have to pay. That is the price that we have to pay. That is the price that we have to pay. That is the price that we have to pay. And it is too high. Now the grass is greener on the other side, but I will believe that the day when pigs start to fly, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. People will say what you want to hear, so they can seduce, but just study where they're coming from. Listen close and you will hear their real intention. They promise me transparency, but delivering negligence, giving a smoke screen to insult the intelligent. Oh. They say that tourism numbers soon coming back. But is it an illusion to alter the facts? They say that the roads get paid and things looking up, but one day had been replaced if not for the World Cup. See, are we regressing through progressing as we watch our morals decay? Am I just stressing? Or are we compressing the realities that we face? They say it's a blessing that we accessing all of the loans and the foreign aid, but it is we children who will be stressing. And then again, that is the price that we have to pay. What? The price, that is the price. And that is the price, and it is too high. That is the price, and it is too high.